We are live.
Okay, good. All right, good evening, everybody. This is a special meeting of Community Consolidated School District 46 Strategic Planning Session, held remotely. I am on site at District 46 EMS, Barron Boulevard, as well as Dr. Whitman. So the first order is I need a roll call, order. Did we lose you, Christy?
No, I just forgot how to unmute. Sorry. Whitman?
Here.
Mack?
Here.
Braden here. Lacroix?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Strack? Are we missing Stephen Strack as well?
No, I see his name on the board.
Oh.
Hey, by the way, my name is Christian here. I received 2 links. I'm not sure which one to join. And one I received from Susan Walker and another one from the director today. And one said that I'm in group 3 and then like nobody saw the call.
Okay, we are starting as one big group, and we'll split into little groups in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So, Stephen Strack, were you here? Here. Okay, so Stephen's here. Okay, so that establishes our quorum. And I just need approval for the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay. So I have a motion by Dr. Mack and a second by Jason Lacroix. Roll call.
Great. Mack?
Aye.
Braden? Aye. Lacroix?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Strack?
Aye.
Whitman?
Aye. Okay, so next we'll do the strategic planning discussion, and I will turn this over to Dr. Whitman for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman. Well, good evening, everyone. And wow, that was just a perfect example of the new life we're living in COVID, right? Where we are sometimes just making decisions on the spot at the moment. Those of you who didn't hear, that decision includes the fact that Mr. Whitman and I are sharing a computer for a few minutes until we get another one. So those are the kinds of things that happen. And it feels like a perfect lead-in to share with you that we are working with some wonderful facilitators tonight. And I want to be open with you and let you know that the Google Meet format that we are using is new to them. They're used to using Zoom. We had some technical reasons why Google Meet was going to make more sense for us. But it's new to them.
So
So if they have technical difficulties as well, you'll understand why. And is there anybody on the screen who hasn't had to do something new over the past 11 months? I'm thinking not, right? It's how we all have been living.
No, in the like
I
right
have
when you
to
walk
share that
in
I
the door.
am so thrilled.
There's white
grateful
bricks,
to see you
and
all
then
this
there's the
I
little
am pretty
wound up
sure
cord
that
next to
most
it.
of you have
See those two
dinner
things?
happening somewhere else in your home right now. I
Two
hope
separate
you guys
boxes,
have
so grab
some.
one of each
But
of
people
those.
are probably carrying on around you, enjoying a nice meal while you said, no, I
So
gotta
that's
put
one
my
thing.
head
We need
down
that as a
get to
charger
a
to go
project.
to.
We have really, really important work to do, and we have a wonderful group of people here to do it with. If you look around the
Should be
screen,
one.
you're going to see some faces
like a
that you
power-
recognize
they're-
and probably some faces that you don't
It's
recognize
closer to the
at
next
all,
desk. You know how
because
we've
we
got 2
come
desks
from
in there,
every corner of the school
and then
district.
I
We
think
have
there's 3
parents,
boxes lined up on
We
the
have
floor.
community members who are not our parents. We have
Yeah,
teachers,
so one-
we have support staff, we have board
Okay,
members,
So you'll take
we have
that, and that's going to
administrators,
Lynn
and we
in just
also
a
have our
minute. But then I
facilitators,
need
and I'm pretty sure I got all the
Chromebook
groups.
for you too.
And then we
Let's
have people
try-
from every one of our schools, divided as
Let's
equally as we
try
can.
right in the cart.
And many of
So
us
we're
actually
using that
fill
cart as like
lots
a
of
counter
roles.
right
So there are
inside the front
people
door.
here that are staff members,
In that
and
cart
parents,
on the shelves in
and
there.
maybe have
are
children who
Chromebooks.
are over in Grays Lake District
Grab
127 as well, so
one of
they
them.
see
I don't
kind of
really
what
care which
happens after our students leave us. Our work at this time
If that's
is
possible,
very
yeah.
much about the future.
And then grab,
in a moment, I'm gonna hand it over to our
go.
facilitators to talk about that.
No, it doesn't
But
matter.
I wanted you to hear about it from me as
And
well.
then
We
let's
have
grab a
important
charger for
work
that
to
too.
do
There should be a box
regarding
kind of behind you
planning as a
now,
school
along
district
the.
for the future. We have to make some
Yes,
important decisions about who we are and what we want to do. And that's really
GMS,
long-term planning. And I'm pointing that out to
library.
you because
Whitman is in
long-term
there. You get
planning
your own book,
is
and then
not
Lynne
the
will
same
get
as
the charger.
planning for February.
They
That's
are,
in February
they're live right
because,
now,
as
but
most
any
of us
second they're
know,
gonna turn it
there's
over
been a
to
lot of
somebody else this
conversation
week,
in our
so
school
it should be-
district
it should be
about reopening the doors to our students, when that will happen, and we know that's going to happen in February. And there's been challenge around that. And I
just
mentioned that, I
should
kind of
only be
want
one, I'm
to
sorry,
bring out the
just
elephant in the
one
room,
apple cord.
but then not spend a lot of time on it
But,
because that's not why we're
she's
here
gonna need
tonight.
both parts of that.
We're here tonight and all of these future nights that you've devoted to this process to be talking about the
She
future and
needs
who we want to be.
C.
And with that, I'm going to introduce the two facilitators that we have tonight,
Yeah,
Dr. Richard
hers will
Wolf
be C.
and
So
Dr. Gary
it
Zabelka.
should be all
I'm
you
going to
need.
hand it
I
over to
mean,
the two of you.
you wanna bring them both and save you a trip, but.
Wonderful.
she
Well,
should
first
be
of all,
C, 'cause
thank you,
she's
Dr.
used
Glickman,
mine
for,
before. So
for
she's
having
C.
us. My colleague, Rich Volz, and I will be introducing ourselves
She's at
shortly.
GMS.
We kinda
One's
like
in the
to
library,
just
one's in the
go over some
conference room in
things
the
to
library.
begin with. First of all, just want to say,
Um,
and I know Dr. Glickman already had mentioned
Depending
this,
on how close
but
she's
we
sitting to an outlet, I
thoroughly
may,
appreciate
you may get to
your
help find
willingness
her
to
an
be
extension cord to
involved.
plug into an outlet.
I mean,
or
this is
something,
going to
but there should
be,
one of those in the back office.
approximately 3 hours tonight. And then we've got several other
Thank you,
sessions.
Clayton. I appreciate it.
And when you think about the amount of time, you may be asking yourself, what are we going to be spending all of this time doing? And as Dr. Glickman already pointed out, we are basically going to be shaping what we consider to be the shaping of your district moving forward. You know, who is District 46 as a district? What are you hoping to be in the future? And what's it going to take to get you there are all things that I know sound very global and somewhat esoteric at this point, yet at the same time, it's a process that basically requires people who are interested in being a part of the future, in planning this future together. So it's exciting for us to see all of you with us. We will see various ones of you at various times because of technology limitations, but yet at the same time, please know that you are valued. I mean, we already listed all of your names. The email that you got later had all of your names listed individually as we worked at putting you into pretty much heterogeneous groups of different roles in these different groups. And it was just nice to at least see the names of who all of you are. Now it's even nicer to see your faces. And we'll look forward to that throughout the process. So if because again, this aspect of presenting is different for us, we would so much rather be in person with you in a large room and walking around amongst you in doing this. But this is the best that we can do at this point, and it seems to be working, you know, throughout the world in, you know, for various processes. So with that, I am going to ask your indulgence for a moment as I attempt to pull up our presentation and just walk us through the agenda. And like I said, we'll be introducing ourselves, and we're going to give you a chance, believe it or not, to introduce yourself as well, despite the fact that we are a large group. I also did want to check, Chris, are we being recorded at this time?
Yes, we are.
Okay, just want to go ahead and make sure. So at this point, can you all see the screen, and maybe somebody could just say yes verbally so that.
Yes.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, real good. So basically, this is going to be strategic planning for 2021 and beyond. Again, Rich and I represent Educational Leadership Solutions. That is our firm that does this type of work with numerous school districts. Our agenda is one where we're, first of all, welcoming you and having introductions. Again, we really take pride in knowing the people with whom we're working. And even though we're doing this in a remote manner, we're hoping to get to know who you are by the time this process is all over. We'll be talking about, and an overview of what strategic planning is. And this is our agenda just for tonight. We'll be talking about guidelines and ground rules for interacting with one another and for decision making and what that's going to look like. We'll talk about the connection between strategic planning and day-to-day practices. We'll have a small group activity where you have received your links, and that's not going to be until a little bit later this evening, but where you're going to break off into smaller groups and actually review your mission statement as it currently is and brainstorm ideas for your mission. Then we're going to share those results out. Again, that's our goal, to have this all done by the end of today's meeting. And with that, I would like to just go ahead and talk about a couple of more housekeeping kinds of items as it relates to being on this Google Meet. So first of all, because our sessions include so many people, we're going to ask you to please keep your sound muted as much as possible. I know we all forget. I'll do that as well. And I usually am reminded when my dog in the background is barking, and then it reminds me, oh, I better check to make sure I'm muted. But for the most part, if you don't mind, remain muted. Also, if you're not that familiar with working online in these, whether it be a Zoom or Google Meets meeting, you could, for the most part, just touch your pad.
Thank you. You saved
it.
it.
It will allow you
it.
to unmute so that you can speak if you only have something short and quick that you'd like to say. In just a few minutes, we're actually going to have each of you introduce yourselves. And that would be an option for you, or simply click the icon at the bottom to unmute yourself. Number 2 says if you'd like to speak, we're going to ask you to either raise your hand. And the way we do that, again, at the lower end of your screen, you will see the hand icon. If you click on that, we should be able to see that, and hopefully we'll be able to call you. If that doesn't work, we'll ask you to just unmute yourself and let us know that you have a question. Again, we're a large group, so we're hoping that it would be only burning types of questions, at least until we get into a dialogue part where we may have a little more conversation. We're going to ask you to keep your video on at all times as much as you can. For the most part, if you've done these before, and both Rich and I have done, and maybe you've participated in a bunch of them as well, if all of a sudden all you see are a bunch of initials on your screen, you begin to wonder, is anybody really out there? And it's our hope that you'll stay focused as much as you can and with us as much as you can. And then, of course, if you need to excuse yourself for a short time, feel free to do so. And at that point, if you need to turn off your screen, again, we're not keeping any kind of attendance records or anything like that. We all, have different needs to have to get away. Some of you have kids at home, family members that you've got to tend to. And we'll just, all respect each other in knowing that if we have to do that, again, if you need to turn off your video, feel free to do so. We will try to provide breaks along the way, so that knowing that there is a reality in what we'll refer to as Zoom fatigue. We'll try to break that up so you can at least get up, move around a little bit, and so on. I know I kind of position myself, even though I'm normally in a sitting position, and I am sitting at the moment. I position my computer, my laptop, in such a way that I can actually stand up from time to time and not have to move my computer around. And that's, something that I'll be doing to try to keep myself from, getting too sedentary in my ways. So with that, again, we want to just thank you in advance for following these guidelines. Again, we'd much rather be with you in person. We hope to be done with this process by the end of March. And that being the case, still not sure if we'll be meeting in person. But regardless, let's just make the best of the situation. And again, thanks for being a part of it. So with that, I'm going to leave this screen up here just momentarily. When I have this screen on, I can't see you. So I'm going to ask that for each of us, if we can do this in as brief a manner of time as possible. It would be great to put your name with your face, your role in the district. Are you a parent? Are you a community member? Are you both? If you're a parent, what ages your kids are, what grade levels they're in. But again, try to be respectful of the amount of time, your length of time in the district, either as an employee and or as a resident, or both in some cases, if that's your situation. This is helpful for us to know how long you've been a part of Grays Lake District 46. And then finally, and Rich is going to be recording these on paper, on a whiteboard. But what is your favorite K-8 memory? Okay, pre-K-8. Think about your years in pre-K-8. And again, as I look across your faces, the ones that I've seen so far and the ones I know I'm going to see, you're thinking, wow, that may have been some time ago. For some of us, it's been a very long time since we were in pre-K through 8. What sticks out in your mind as your favorite memory of your experience? And we're going to ask you to do this just in a couple of words. We don't need to hear the entire story, but just what was your favorite snapshot, if you will, of your pre-K through 8th grade experience? Okay, so those are the 4 things that we're going to ask you. Again, if you get stuck, we will we'll help you along with that. Okay, disregard that screen there for a second. And I'm going to attempt to get back to my screen where we can see more of you as we go through this process. Good. It's good to see everybody's face is still there. I'm going to actually stop presenting because it's going to take us a little bit to do this. So we can see more of you. And I realize that, I just can't ask you to raise your hand and start speaking as we would if we were in person. So just kind of bear with us. I'm going to actually call your names as I see you on the screen. And at some point, if I don't see you, I'm just going to hope that we get, of course, we want to get all of you. But again, quick introduction. Paula, I can't help it. You're sitting right next to me here. Paula Casey. And again, the other piece that I'm going to go ahead and mention is we only know you as the names that we see on your screen. So if your name is different and we call you something, hopefully you'll know what your name is on your screen, so you'll know who we're talking with, and that you can just give us a brief introduction. So Paula, not to put you on the spot, but you're our first volunteer who didn't volunteer. Are you okay doing that? You're gonna set the tone for us, if you would. We're gonna have to unmute you. Thank you.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Okay. My name is Paula Casey, and I am a community member. My children are long out of school, and I have grandchildren in the high school now. And I have been here 22 years. And I'm trying desperately to remember back to K through 8. I'm about to have my 50th high school reunion this year. I can't tell you. I do remember Mr. Gallagher. Very, very good teacher. He taught history, social studies, we called it, and very, very influential. It took time. He was always there after school.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, that's great. It's a favorite teacher. That's a good start. Thank you so much, Ms. Casey, and thanks for being a part of us. I mean, again, you've been out for some time, and I'm not going to comment on everybody, just out of respect for time. But again, it's great to see someone with your tenure, if you will, be a part of the process. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With that, Chris, would you mind going next? Chris Vaipon?
Certainly. My name is Chris Vaipon. I'm the Director of Technology in our district, and I've been in the district all of about 6 or 7 months at this point. So Yes. And a favorite K-8 memory, I'm going to go all the way back to kindergarten. And while there are certainly more, I remember my kindergarten teacher taking us outside this time of year and sledding with us. And
Very cool.
Yes. Thanks.
Very good. Great. No, thank you. Next up, Heather Lorenzo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Lorenzo. I'm the Director of Pupil Services for the school district. I have been serving as a leader in the district for 12 years, but I was also a teacher prior to that. So I've been in the district 16 years. I'm also a parent of the district. I have a 6th grader at Park. Nope, not true. I have a 7th grader at Park and a 4th grader at Park. So I live in the community as well. My favorite memory is back in 3rd grade when we did a simulation of a science spacecraft. It was very hands-on experience. We even ate space food.
Very cool. Oh, that's great. Thank you. All righty. Dr. Glickman, you happen to be next.
Sure, thank you. I'm Lynne Whitman, the superintendent in our school district, and have been such for a year and a half. My favorite memories, all of them from grade school, without telling stories, they're all about a teacher making me feel special.
Wonderful. Thank you. Christy Bracken.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Bracken. I am a mom of a student in the district. I have a 5th grader at Frederick and love seeing some of his former and current influences in the group. I'm so excited to see your faces. I'm also a board member, and I have many great memories of pre-K through 8, but the one that sticks with me the most is growing caterpillars into monarch butterflies.
Wonderful. Very cool. Great. Thank you. Cheryl Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Johnson. I have been 4 years at Avon School. I'm a reading assistant. My favorite memory is probably going into junior high and just feeling that sense of independence.
Very good. Thanks, Cheryl. Stephen Strack.
Hi, I'm Stephen Strack. I am a school board member. I've had kids that go through, 2 kids go through the district. One is currently a junior in college, and one is a sophomore in high school now. Been in the area, lived in Haynesville for almost 22 years. And my favorite memory probably of grade school would be 4th grade. Our 4th grade teacher, it was an Olympic year, 1980. We had a whole series of events tied to the Olympics with Olympic theme. People win medals for spelling and math and other things. Really.
Very cool. Boy, I tell you, it's neat to hear some of these memories. Jog the memory bank a little bit. Very good. Mr. Krishnan.
Hey, okay. My full name is Santana Christian. I prefer to go by the name Christian. And I'm a parent of the 1st grader in Meadowview. And we have been here in Grace Lake, like we moved from Mandalay to like about 8 years ago. And he has been in school system for just last couple of years, kindergarten and now in 1st grade. So with respect to favorite memories, I don't have much, but yes, I do have a couple of. One is like he did learn biking in the Meadowview parking lot, like that too during the pandemic year. He kind of loved visiting the school again and again. So until the end of fall, like almost every day, like we have been riding together and then coming back and stuff.
Sure.
Second thing, a great shout out to the school administrators, teachers, everyone, and the way everybody responded to the pandemic and getting grouped together, learning in a remote setup. And I myself work in an education industry for PSM as a PT technology manager. And like I know how busy you guys have been because I have been working with some of the community school districts and colleges as well to enable schools perform all this stuff. And a big shout out to everyone.
Very good. Mr. Christian, we appreciate the fact that we can call you Mr. Christian instead of your full name. And then number two, the question is, what is your favorite memory of your experience in pre-K through 8th grade? Do you remember any of those when you were in grade school? A favorite memory, briefly.
Oh, my favorite memory is mostly around sports. I'm not sure how many of you heard about cricket.
Okay, sure.
I did my schooling in India. Yeah, I have been university chess player was on top of it.
Very good. I'm sure we don't have too many cricket players in this group, but very good. Thank you very much. Dr. Mack. Stephen Mack.
All right.
With us? Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, my name is Stephen Mack, and I am first and foremost a dad. I have three children. Well, one older daughter who's in high school now, and two children, a fifth grader and a third grader at Woodview School. I am a board member, and I'm also a high school French teacher at Wakanda High School. And so my favorite memory of 8th grade is sitting in French class and backing up too quickly and slamming right into my French teacher who was walking behind me and causing a massive bruise on her hip all up and down her back. And I consider that a defining moment in making me the teacher that I am today. And somewhat of my penance for injuring my French teacher. That happened in 7th grade. So here I am today.
Wow.
So thanks for having me here.
Very good, Stephen. Thanks for being here. Jason Lacroix.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Lacroix. I am a board member here at the district. I have 3 kids in the district, a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a 1st grader. I'm a 1985 graduate of Grays Lake Middle School. I don't know if that ages me or whatever, but it does. The moment that sticks with me most from my grade school time is not one that reflects well on me, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I had a crush on Nancy Brenner, who sat in front of me. I kicked the chair out from underneath her when she went to sit down. She smacked her head in the back of my desk. But the reason I mention this is because my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Seaholm, instead of punishing me, I just remember him walking with me at recess and talking it through with me. And that's a fond memory I have of my time at Grays Lake Middle School.
Very good.
Yeah.
Mr. Seaholm, his first name wasn't Grant by any chance, was it?
It certainly was.
Okay, colleague of mine, thank you. Very nice story about it, thanks. Christy Miller.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy, and I have lived in the district for, I think it's 21 years now. We have 3 children. Our oldest is a senior at Purdue. Our middle is a senior at Central, Grays Lake Central, and our youngest is a freshman at Grays Lake Central. So I'm also on the board as well. And my favorite memory, I'm having to choose. I wrote down about 5, but one of them is winning a goldfish at my elementary school's fun fair that we had to throw balls into the goldfish bowls. And then the other was we put on a play that was a montage of commercials. And I distinctly remember holding my carton of McDonald's French fries and being very proud that I had that. And also very grateful because McDonald's was not allowed in my house growing up. So it was very fun.
Very good. Great. Thank you. All righty. How about Lisa Boxer? Lisa.
Hello, I'm Lisa Boxer. I have been teaching for 23 years in 5th grade in Grays Lake. I teach math and science. My 3 children also went through all of the Grays Lake schools. They are now all at University of Minnesota. And I would say my favorite memory was in 7th grade, Mr. Alborn. If you weren't listening, you would have to roll a die, and there was splotchy patrol because we had an owl in the classroom, and you had to clean up after the owl, and everybody thought it was wonderful. And the best part about it was when I went to my science practicum in college to get my master's, he ended up being my teacher again. So that was really cool.
Wow, great. Thanks for sharing, Lisa. All righty, Jessica Albert.
Hi, I'm Jessica Albert. I am a parent in the district. lived here about 15 years, and I have an 8th grader at Grays Lake Middle School and a 3rd grader at Meadowview. And one of my favorite memories is a field trip to Galena in 5th grade.
Wow, well, very cool. All right, thank you. Next, Samantha Stouch.
Hi, Stouch is actually my maiden name, so it's Samantha Eister.
Okay.
Just so. I am a parent. My daughter is a 6th grader at Frederick. And we moved here in March 2020 from Michigan. My favorite pre-K through 8th memory is going to ecology camp.
Okay, very good. All right. Mr. Frye, Jim Frye. Please.
All right. I am Jim Frye. I have been a pre-K teacher in the district for this is my 21st year in the district with the pre-K program. Actually, my 31st year here. And as anybody on the board knows, I put in this earlier this month for retirement in 3 years. So at the end of the 23-24 year teaching year, I will be retiring from teaching. And that's the time frame I've been in school, 21 years. I live just outside the district in Wildwood. And the further down the line you get, the more memories you start thinking about. And so I have like a couple people, I have a couple. But I think the one that's probably the coolest and most educationally relevant is when I was in kindergarten, my parents lived overseas. My dad was in the military and we lived in Taiwan. So I went to school pre-K, kindergarten, and 1st grade in Taiwan. And then the cool thing about that is when I came back to school and we moved out in the Wildwood, for 6th grade, I got to do a country report on the country of Taiwan as a kind of a end cap, so to speak, on the two of them. So a lot of great experiences in Taiwan, going out in the fields and chasing snakes and seeing the clay man and all those type of things. So
wow, very cool. Very neat, Jim. Thank you. Elizabeth Larkin.
Hello, I'm Liz Larkin. I'm a teacher in the district, a special ed teacher at Woodview. I've been at Woodview for 6 years. I taught at Woodland School District before that and took some years off to stay home with my kids. I have 3 kids. One's at Central now, one's in 7th grade at GMS, and then one is at 5th grade at Frederick. They all went through Woodview School. And then my favorite memory in elementary school, I have so much that's been flooding through my head, so apparently I like school a lot. But one of them was just having class pets. My mom was allergic to like every animal, so we never had anything other than fish at home. So I had an elementary school where we had a pet every year in our class. We had a turtle one year, a rabbit one year, and just being able to take care of it and love it and snuggle with it was those things that I got to do at school that I didn't get to do at home.
Wow, very good. Well, thanks, Elizabeth. Alyssa Bundy. Hi.
Good evening. I'm Elisa Bundy. I am a health coordinator in the district, registered nurse for 11 years. And I have a lot of good school memories. But I will say, if I have to pick one, it would be when I was in junior high. I lived in Elmhurst, and the school was Bryan Junior High. And on Fridays, they offered a social dance, ballroom dancing, with an instructor. There was a record player, and we learned basic cha-cha-cha, foxtrot, amongst others. And that for its time, it was something they don't do nowadays, but it was elective. Your parents would sign you up, and it was for 2 hours from 7 till 9. And we had girls on one side, boys on the other, and they would ask, boys would come and ask you to dance. So it was a different time. I'm showing my age, I guess. But in social dancing on Friday nights in 7th and 8th.
Very good. Elisa, if you don't mind my asking, if you even remember, if you remember the name of your dance instructor.
That's the one detail that's escaping me because the name that I'm thinking of was an English teacher that I liked. So anyway, that I do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm gonna say, is there a Mr. Morgan? Does that sound?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, very good.
Small world.
With this microphone, and actually, if the boys didn't ask properly, we could say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were rules.
Yeah.
There were etiquette rules along that line. Anyway, thank you. And Mr. Morgan, yeah.
Very good. All right. Sorry. We'll keep it moving along. Thanks, Elisa.
Okay, definitely.
All right. How about Aaron Gross? Aaron?
Hi, I'm Aaron Gross. I am the assistant principal of Grays Lake Middle School. I've been there for a year and a half and absolutely loving it. My best memory of my K-8 career was my 8th grade math teacher, Mr. Carter, who just really made me, he was my basketball coach and also just was like the first math teacher that actually helped me to learn math. And so through him, I really learned what I wanted to do with my life, things like that. So
Very good. All right. Thank you, Aaron. Adam Helpern?
Good evening. I'm Adam Helpern. I'm the Director of Operations and Maintenance for School District 46. I have been in the district same amount of time as Mr. Vaipon. We both got hired back in July, so approximately 7 months. My greatest K-8 memory will be 6th grade. We took our first trip overnight without our parents to Atwood. We played Predator Prey. We told stories. We learned about the outdoors. One of the greatest memories I could ever have.
Very good. Thank you, Adam. Brittany Jordis. I hope I'm pronouncing these pretty closely.
Close enough. 17. My name is Brittany Jordis. I am a community member and future parent of District 46. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. My husband and I have lived in Grays Lake for 8 years. And my favorite memory of elementary school would have to probably be my 6th grade pre-algebra teacher, who took the time to help me understand what's going on. And I fondly remember the day it kind of clicked and shaped my future for my career in math and finance. So.
Well, very good. Thanks, Brittany, for sharing that, and good luck when your kids go to school. Future parents. Cassie Carbaugh.
Hi, I'm Cassie Carbaugh. I'm the head of youth services over at the Grays Lake Area Public Library, and I've had that job for about 4.5 years now. And then I live just over in neighboring unincorporated Grays Lake. So I've been a neighbor for a good 1.5 years now too. And I think my favorite memory and pre-K through 8, I always loved field day. And you would get the parachutes out. I remember one of the gym teachers had, this giant round earth ball. We would have so many really fun games that we could play as a class. And those were good times.
Very good. Thanks, Cassie. How about Chris Walk?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Wolk. I'm the Director of Human Resources. This is my 9th year in the district and my 6th year as a parent in the district. Favorite memory of elementary school has nothing to do with being a student. Actually, my mom was a 1st grade teacher at the time when I was in elementary school. And it would be us going in during the summer, helping her set up bulletin boards, getting to use the die cut machines, and then when maybe got restless, either getting to watch the VHS of a Looney Tunes cartoon or going to the gym and playing basketball, which I still think to this day, those events shaped my career.
Very good. Well, thanks, Chris. I'll tell you, it's neat to see the reactions of everybody. I know we can only see a finite number of people at a time, excuse me, but it's nice to see just the reactions on everyone as we share what some of our experiences were. Deborah Perry. Deborah?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Deborah Perry. I'm a community member and a parent. I have a 6th grader at Frederick and a kindergartner at Avon. So they keep me pretty busy. Something that we've been in the district for about almost 8 years now.
we moved from Palatine, but I've been in Illinois pretty much my whole life. A favorite memory of mine is actually similar to Cassie's in PE, but we had a science teacher in PE. His name was Mr. Ubigas, and he helped run a PE class for special needs kids. And so you had to apply to be a leader for that class. And so I was able to apply and become a part of that class and help with those students. It was really enriching for me, and it kind of led me more down the road of teaching. And even more so that year, I was excited that they moved away from the zippered one-piece jumpsuit for PE to the two-piece t-shirt and shorts for female PE. So it was a great year all around.
There you go. Wow, very good. Okay, thanks, Deborah. Next name is Aleni White. Aleni?
That was really good.
Okay.
I go by Al if it makes it easier for you.
Okay.
I am a parent and a community member. I've actually been in the district my whole life. I actually bought the house right next door to my parents after having a 10-year break from Grays Lake. And then my kids are, I've got a 4th grader in the MILD program at Park, and I've got a 1st grader at Prairie View. And my favorite K through 8th memory, I would have to say, is 6th grade when I finally made connections with books. It was the year we had to read Tuck Everlasting and Bridge to Terabithia, and I fell in love with books that year, and I just never stopped reading after that.
Well, Elle, you just made Cassie smile as the librarian. She just she just lit up. So with that, very good. Thank you. How about Elizabeth Larkin?
I went already.
Oh, thank you. I was just about to say, if there's anyone whose name I've called twice, excuse me on doing that. Emily Waddick.
Hi, I'm Emily Waddick. I'm a community member and parent. I've lived here for 19 years. I have a 4th grader and a 2nd grader at Woodview. And my favorite memory is I had an 8th grade social studies teacher who used to do Civil War reenactments, and one day he walked into school in full Civil War garb. And for many years after that, I was going to be a social studies teacher. It's not where I ended up, but nonetheless.
Sure. Oh, very good. Thank you, Emily. How about Irina Braun?
Good evening. My name is Irina Braun. I have been a community member for 18 years. We have 3 children. Our oldest is a sophomore at Grays Lake Central. We also have a 7th grader at Park and a 4th grader at Park. I've also been a staff member in the district for the past 4 years. My favorite kindergarten through 8th grade memory would probably have to be having the opportunity to compete at the State Science Fair in Springfield in middle school.
Wow, very good. Thanks, Irina. Okay, the next one, I'm not sure that's truly one's last name, but we've got Julia Chicago.
Sorry there. Hi, yeah, my name is Julia Johnson. I actually just figured out how to go in and change my display name, but I got the little notification that it may take a while to update. So, Julia Johnson. I am a parent and community member. I've lived in Grays Lake for 11 years. I have 2 girls in the district. My oldest, McKenna, is in 8th grade at GMS, and my youngest, Kinley, is in 3rd grade at Avon. And I have to say, my favorite childhood or, K through 8 memory, I grew up out west in Colorado. I actually just changed my background after thinking about my memory. But every year, as sort of a rite of passage into 6th grade, they would take the whole 6th grade class up to outdoor labs. So we would do a week-long sort of camping in cabins type event. And I remember it was the first night that we were getting settled in there, and my bunk mate, there was a spider that was vexing her. So I remember grabbing a flip-flop and smushing the spider, which was actually the birth of a friendship that is still very strong today, almost 30 years later. So.
Oh, very good. Great memory. All right, so very good. Jana Donahue.
Hi,
I'm Jana Donahue. I'm the coordinator at the Early Childhood Center. I've been in my role, this is my 5th year, but it is my 30th year in education. And while I did not go to school here, I kind of grew up around here. My cousins used to live across the street from Prairie View in a little brick house when population of Haynesville was 150. So yeah, so I think my cousin's bedroom is about where the Starbucks is. So that's my connection to the area. My favorite memory from school was having my teachers read to us during lunch. We would eat our lunches in the classroom. That was before hot lunch. And I loved the stories. They'd always stop at the, just the cliffhangers of a chapter. So you couldn't wait till the next day to come to school because you wanted to see what happened. And so when I became a teacher, I continued that when I was teaching 3rd grade because we were still eating in the classroom way back in the 90s. And it kind of came full circle because my 5th grade teacher who used to read to us was the reading specialist in the classroom next to me. And during recess, I could lean up against the wall and I could hear her reading. And it would take me back to 5th grade.
Wow.
So that's my favorite memory.
Very good. All right, thanks, Nana. We've got J35. Right, J35.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jorge Janot. In 2014, I retired from the Marine Corps and we moved here to Grace Lake. I currently work for the Department of Education as an auditor. I have a daughter that's a 7th grader at Grace Lake Middle School. And a favorite memory of mine is making the spelling bee team when I was in 1st grade. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you for your service. And your first name again? Do you go by Jay?
Jorge.
Jorge.
It could be Jay as well.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, looking down the names, we're getting near the end, and I hope you'll see some value in this. These are people that we're going to be communicating with, talking with in groups from time to time, and hearing from periodically. And it's important that you kind of get the full breadth of what different facets of you all make up District 46. So with that, we'll continue. Jim Liebman, I think you're next, Jim.
Okay. Jim Weedman, I am currently the board president for District 46. I am also a firefighter in the Grays Lake Fire Department here in town. I am born and raised in Grays Lake. In fact, I probably went to school with Mrs. Donahue's cousins, their sons. So I went to school with them. An 83 graduate of GMS. One of my fondest memories, actually I have 2 of them. One is sniffing the ink on the ditto machine. And 2 would be the opportunity to march in the marching band for GMS down at the Columbus Day Parade down in the city of Chicago. That was one of the programs they had up here. So those would be my 2 fondest memories, I guess.
Wow, very good. Jim, I asked what instrument?
The trombone.
Wow, very good. Thank you. Okay, and again, bear with me if we start repeating some of the names. I don't think we've heard from Kathy Strack. Kathy?
Hi, I'm Kathy Strack. I'm the school psychologist at Meadowview and Woodview Schools. My 18th year in the district. And one of my favorite memories was I decided randomly that I wanted to learn how to play piano and was paying for my lessons with my allowance. But my parents didn't rush out to buy me a piano, obviously, because they weren't sure if this was going to be a thing or not. So I had mentioned it to my 6th grade music teacher, and she said, I have lunch the same time you have lunch. So if you want to come in and practice piano during your lunchtime, that would be fine. So,
wow, very good. Thanks. How about Kathleen O'Brien?
Hi, I'm Katie O'Brien. I'm the instructional coach at Avon School, and this is my 3rd year in the district.
My favorite memories of elementary school include my 5th grade teacher and my 8th grade teacher. And they were both first year teachers, and they went above and beyond in developing relationships with their students. So I can remember they would come to sporting events and rollerblade with us after school in the neighborhood. And though both of them moved on to other schools after I had them, they gave us the opportunity to be pen pals. So I still have every single letter I ever received from them. And I remember my 5th grade teacher came back to our 8th grade graduation to see us all. And I remember when I coached volleyball after college, going to a tournament in Indiana and visiting my 8th grade teacher and her family. So just any way they went above and beyond to build those relationships was really important to me.
Very good. Oh, great. Thanks, Kelly. Kelly DeCino. Kelly.
Hello, so I'm Kelly DeCino. I've been a member of the District 46 community for about 13 years. I have 2 girls at Park School in both 4th grade and 7th grade. I'm also a scientist working in the R&D organization at AbbVie. And when it comes to best memories, it's probably a 6th grade overnight camp that was a week long. It was kind of our first time away from parents. It was a great memory.
Was it at George Williams College, was it?
No, this is in Michigan.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you, Kelly. Kristen Herman. Kristen.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Kristen Herman, and I am a speech language pathologist at the Early Childhood Center at Prairie View, and I've been there 16 years, which is hard to believe that it's been that long. My youngest, I have 3 children, and my youngest was just 2.5 when I started there, and now, and he went to Prairie View as well. All 3 of mine went to Prairie View, and now he is a senior in high school, so it's just kind of hard to believe that it went so fast. So, so I guess my best memory is my 1st grade teacher. I just loved her so much. I pretended that I needed extra help in math because you could stay after school if you needed help in math. So I totally pretended I needed help. And then my mom came and picked me up, and the teacher was like, yeah, she really gets it. And then I just told my mom I just really liked her.
Wow, very cool. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks.
Laura, did we hear from Laura Morgan already?
No, not yet.
No? Okay, Laura, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Morgan. I'm the principal over at Meadowview, and I have worked in this district for 27 years. My children have gone to school here as well, which has been an amazing experience for them, with my youngest being in 8th grade right now at GMS. Like others on the call tonight, one of my favorite memories was a 6th grade week-long camp, all based on outdoor education as well. That holds lots of fun memories for me.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Laura. How about Lynne Whitman?
Good evening, I'm Lynne Whitman. I'm a 4th grade teacher at Meadowview School, so it's appropriate that I follow Laura. I'm also the secretary for the union. I've been in the district for 22 years. And funny enough, one of my favorite memories is George Williams because I went to Hawthorne. I just texted my mom that my mom taught at Hawthorne too. So.
What was her last name?
Callaway.
Barry.
Yep.
Good hurt. Just kidding. Oh, very good. I'll tell her I said hello. Yes.
I will.
Very good. Thanks, Lynn. How about Paul Lewis?
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Lewis. I serve as the Assistant Superintendent for Teaching, Learning, and Assessment. This is year number 5 for me in Grays Lake. This is year 33 in my profession, so a few years. I was thinking about what my memory would be. I went to a very small Catholic school, and I vividly remember 3rd grade, and that turned out to be my very favorite grade to teach. We spent an awful lot of time on cursive, and I became very proficient as a 3rd grade teacher teaching cursive. So it's just one of the memories that I have. It is a lost art.
Getting to be more so. Thanks, Paul. How about Peter Comfort? Peter?
Hi, my name is Peter Comfort. I'm a 1992 graduate, or 1984 graduate of GMS, and I went to GCHS also. I have a 7th grader at middle school, a 4th grader at Woodview. I'm also an assistant principal over at Warren. Probably my favorite memory, I think it was in 8th grade. It was an 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip that we took to Washington, D.C. Just that we had like that time away from your parents and kind of just be with your friends.
Sure. Very good. Thanks. How about Rebecca Gunnlach?
Hi, my name's Rebecca Gunnlach. I teach general music currently at Avon and at Prairie View School, and was also at Park in general music and instrumental music. I've been in the district for 15 years, and I was trying to think of my favorite memory because I have many. But in middle school, the teachers tried to go a little past the typical team sports, and they let us do archery. I mean, what could go wrong? As a parent and as a teacher, I'm thinking how brave they were, but I loved it. And the teacher would stay after school and let us do target practice. So it was a lot of fun. And she was really good at teaching us the physics of how the arrows worked so that you could get your bullseye. So I think that was pretty cool.
You still have the bow and arrow, Rebecca? Do we need to be careful?
No, you don't have to be careful about the bow and arrow. Although I thought of getting one, but I haven't done it yet.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. How about Samantha Larson? Samantha?
Hi, I'm Samantha Larson. We have lived in the district for about 5 years. My oldest daughter, Temperance, is 4 years old, and she attends the Early Childhood Center. Miss Kristen is her speech therapist. She's here tonight too. So that's great to see. And then we have another daughter. She's too, so she'll come up through the system eventually. My favorite memory from grade school, in my grade school, I grew up in Nebraska. We had like a post office system, and the 3rd graders got to be in charge of the post office, and I got to be the postmaster. So that was really fun.
Oh, very good. Funny the things that we remember and appreciate. Thank you, Samantha. How about Stacy Porter? Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Porter, and I'm a community member, and my son is in 2nd grade at Prairie View. And we've been in the district about 9 years now, living in Gainesville. And my favorite memory from K through 8 was probably 6th grade. I won the spelling bee, and my friends threw a party for me, and they were so proud because they made a congratulations sign. They spelled congratulations wrong, and they wanted to make sure that I saw that and made sure I got it.
How cute. Oh, very good. Thank you, Stacy. Stephanie Diaz.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Diaz. I'm the director of the English Learner Program. This is my 5th year in the district, and my favorite memory is 6th grade social studies, still called social studies then. And my teacher brought ancient Egypt to life, and we got to do a whole big diagram and project about that. And it turned out to be pretty significant because when I ended up teaching, I became like a social science teacher for newcomers and taught all of ancient Civ in Spanish. And it was just very, very cool to try to replicate some of the same things that I got to experience as a student for my future students.
Oh, very good. Thanks, Stephanie. Next one, I'm going to read all 3 names. I'm going to attempt to Tina, Bastiani, Baldwin.
Good evening. I go by Tina Baldwin. It's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
My current hat that I'm wearing in the district is the brand new art teacher for Park campus. I'm very excited to move into this role because I've been part of the district as a community member and a parent since we moved in 2010. My daughter was a 3rd grader at Woodview, who is now a freshman at Purdue. And my son is a freshman at Grays Lake Central. And I have to thank everybody for jogging so many wonderful memories of early education. It's making it very difficult to pick one. Is it the overnight at Atwood in 6th grade? I think that's where I went to. Or was it taking home the class pet in 8th grade only to have babies and not know what to do with it, like the gerbil. But I think I have to give credit to my 4th grade teacher who convinced me that her voice was Super Fudge's voice. Like, I cannot read Super Fudge and not hear her voice. And so even as the art teacher, I love finding illustrators and picking voices as I do read alouds in class. So I just, for not be like that quiet seed that she was able to plant in my head.
Very good. Thanks, Tina. We're getting down there to the last few. It looks like we've got Tanya Kent. Tanya.
Hi, yes, I'm Tanya Kent, and I'm a parent in the district of a 4th grader at Meadowview, and Lynne Whitman is the current teacher of my 4th grader. I'm also the parent of 6th grader who also had Lynne Whitman as a teacher. So we've been in the district for 4.5 years, where we moved from Chicago. My favorite memory is, because it's winter time now, I think that's why I'm thinking about it. In 3rd grade, I hated going outside for recess. So my 3rd grade teacher let me write little plays, and then my friends would join me and we would practice and then act out the little plays for our classmates. That was my favorite memory.
Very good. Oh, thanks, Tanya. Tracy Tarazzi.
Pretty close. That's all right.
Thank you.
I am Tracy Tarazzi, and I am a 7th and 8th grade ELA teacher at Park and the reading specialist there for the upper grades. I have been in the district for 20 years. Technically, I can say I've worked at every building because I was a literacy coach for a couple of years. So, my favorite memory was I won the 8th grade speech contest at St. Emily's in Mount Prospect. I was in the Daily Herald. Maybe you remember seeing it. So, yeah, that's my favorite memory.
Very good. Thanks, Tracy. And I have to admit, Trent, have we met Trent Gordon? Trent Gordon. Maybe we're not going to meet Trent Gordon. I know we have not met.
He was on hand.
Okay.
He's back. Go ahead, Sean. I think.
Trent, are you there? You got us all waiting excitedly.
While he has to log out and log back in.
Okay, we'll come back to Trent. Okay, not a problem. How about Vince Murray?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Vince Murray. I am the principal of Prairie View School. I have been in our district 19 years. I've taught for 22 years. And then I've had a variety of roles in the district. I would say that I have to say that my favorite memory is of my middle school assistant principal from Helpern Junior High, Mr. Zbabilka. I would also say that he shares that honor with my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Hamilton, who is the earliest teacher that I can remember thinking. I can't remember anything that she taught me, but I can just remember that she cared for us as students, and I think that's most important. So probably shaped me as a teacher without me even knowing.
I'm sure much more than your assistant principal did at that time.
I don't think I was in trouble too much. We certainly didn't make it traumatic, so that's why maybe I wasn't very conversation.
Well, it's funny, when I saw the names, I saw Vince Murray, and I saw how many Vince Murrays can there be? I remembered your name, and I'm thinking, there couldn't have been that many, especially still being in the area. So the fact that you said that you've been in education for 22 years, I hope that just reminds everybody how young of an assistant principal I was once upon a time. So anyway, good to see you, Vince. Is there anyone who we have not introduced, who has not had a chance to introduce themselves besides Rich and I?
Hi, this is Trent Gordon. I don't know if you can hear me now. Oh, okay.
Yes,
all right.
we can.
Yes, thank you. All right. No, thank you for your patience. So my family and I have lived in the district for 18 years. My wife and I have a daughter in 8th grade at GMS and a 5th grader at Frederick. My favorite memory has to be 3rd grade. I loved every day of 3rd grade, and that was in thanks to my teacher, Mr. Vickers, who made learning fun, but also he had more energy than the entire class combined. And the fact that we just went home exhausted, not only from a great day of learning, but from the fact that we just had to keep up with his energy as a teacher, just really, really stuck with me.
Very good. Glad to have you here tonight. Is there anybody else who has not had a chance to introduce themselves at this point? Well, I have to say, you all get an A+ for starters, only to say that you all came on, we were able to introduce yourselves, we were able to see all of you, and that all worked out exceptionally well given this environment. You also did a nice job trying to, maintain a reasonable amount of time in trying to introduce yourselves. Now, there's a reason why we've gone through what our favorite memories are. We'll get to that in a second. But in being consistent, we all, my partner Rich Bolts and I are also part of your group for the next several weeks. And as such, just will briefly introduce myself, Gary Zavilka. As you have heard, first of all, I'm a Lake County resident my entire adult life. I live over in Hawthorne Woods, where I've been for 40 plus years. I was a teacher, assistant principal, and principal over at Hawthorne School District in Vernon Hills for over 20 years. Then became a superintendent in Downers Grove and Morton Grove, where I then retired from the superintendency, and since then have been consulting in a variety of ways, as well as teaching at the university level. And so I'm pleased to be here in this capacity. I will share with you, and I'm going to say, Rich, get ready to do this as well. My favorite memory in pre-K through 8 was in 4th grade. We had a teacher who insisted on having clean erasers on a regular basis, and was able to, every time we got the opportunity, we were on our best behavior, we got selected to go down to the boiler room, which was a very cool place to go. And they had this eraser cleaning machine that actually ran the erasers across, and this is the old chalk erasers, of course, would suck the dust out of it. You didn't slap them together, but it was just a really, really cool memory. There was the cool janitor at that time, and this was reminiscent. This janitor did not teach me how to play chess. I'll leave it there for those of you who are into Netflix over the COVID. Good series, Queen's Gambit, but nonetheless not a commercial for them, but I've said it now anyway. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm going to ask my partner, Rich Bolts, to introduce himself. Go ahead, Rich.
Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Rich Bolts. 37 years in public education. I was a high school teacher, assistant principal, and then I was a superintendent for 19 years. And at the same time I was a superintendent, I was an adjunct professor at Eastern Illinois University for students who were taking administrative classes. And after I retired as a public school administrator, I spent 13 years with the Illinois Association of School Administrators, the Superintendents Association. I did hundreds of trainings for superintendents and principals and teachers all over the state. As a matter of fact, I've been to every county in Illinois doing presentations. I've also done presentations throughout the United States and also internationally as well. So my favorite experience, I thought maybe more of you would have said this. My favorite experience in K-8 was in 8th grade. Our tackle football team won what we considered the City of Chicago championship. So I remember that experience when we won the championship.
Oh, very good. And Rich, I'm going to put you on the spot one more time just to say, as you've been recording these, and we're going to save this information for later on as well, but any initial comments that you can tell from looking at what people have provided as their favorite pre-K-8 experience?
Yeah, and I shared that the doc that I did, it's shared in the chat box. But yeah, two things I think are very evident. Number one, gosh, our teacher is important. How many of you mentioned your favorite teacher and your favorite experience with a teacher? And then the second one is the idea of going on a field trip of sorts, whatever it is, was certainly something that was very valuable to you when you were students. So it's very interesting as we're working into the strategic planning. I think you keep those things in mind. How many field trips are your students taking in your school district? How many experiences are they having, positive experiences are they having with teachers? And then how do you grow those experiences as a school district? So those will be things we'll be looking at and when we're looking at your mission and your vision as we go on in the strategic planning process.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thanks, Rich. I'll tell you what, we said we're going to be sensitive to COVID fatigue. So we are going to actually take this opportunity because we're at a good transition. We will give you approximately a 7-minute break. My watch right now says 7:13. We'll come back at 7:20. If you want to turn off your camera, feel free. If you want to leave it on and just walk away, whatever you'd like to do. But we will then begin to reconvene at 7:20. Again, thanks everyone for getting us off to a nice start. And we'll look forward to delving into some of these things in the next few minutes. Okay, thank you. else. And then we see a point later on then where we'll be breaking up into groups. And it's at that time that we'll see how well we do being able to go to a different link, to a different meeting, and then ultimately come back to this meeting at the end of that smaller group session. So that's kind of what we've got to look forward to today. But again, it's good to see so many of you. I also, in the break time, figured out how I can see all of you at one time, and I can right now. And I have to say, it's great to be able to see all of you at once. So very good. All right. With that, we are going to be delving into the actual conversation about what is strategic planning. Now, strategic planning is one of those terms that gets thrown about quite a bit, and it means different things to different people. And that's why we feel that it's important that we all get on the same page as far as what we are meaning for strategic planning as far as our group is concerned. Some would joke and say, isn't all planning strategic, or shouldn't all planning be strategic? Well, yes, it probably should. And then there are some that joke and say, well, then are we non-strategically planning when we don't do this process? And of course, that's not the case either. So as far as strategic planning is concerned, I'm going to switch to the presentation mode now so I can share with you some slides. And I hope you'll be able to see these. Okay, so the process of strategic planning, and Rich, maybe you can answer. I can see that that's our names, that's our backgrounds. Oh, that reminds me, we didn't mention our third partner. We actually have a third partner who's part of our team by the name of Don White. And Don White is also a retired superintendent. And Don is who we know as our data guy. He's our data man. And he will be present potentially sometimes, but he's our behind the scenes type of guy that as we're delving into different spreadsheets, information, surveys, data, etc. That's what Don's primary role is as a part of our team. So you may or may not get a chance to see him face to face as a part of this process, but he will be a part of this process regardless. So at this point, Rich, are we looking at the overview for strategic planning?
Yes.
Okay. So all of strategic planning can be broken down into 4 significant parts. And these parts are going to sound awfully simplistic. However, they are way more complicated than what they may first appear to be. Your quality organizations, corporate, in the business world, or even school districts. The quality ones are those who really focus on these aspects of what we consider to be the strategic planning process in really defining who they are as a company. So the first question that we would ask ourselves, and this is as of District 46, okay, everything that we're talking about is focused on D46. The question would be, what is D46's mission? Okay, and at this point, it's just a rhetorical question. We'll be delving into that a little bit further. But another way of asking that is, what are we in the business of doing? And again, I use the personal pronoun there, we, because Rich and I, and Don for that matter, are going to be a part of your district as we go through this process with you. So what do we consider ourselves to be in the business of doing? You know, without knowing our mission, it's really hard to define what are the expectations for what people expect from us as a school district. Okay, so that is the first question that we have to ask ourselves. Another question that we'll be asking ourselves is, what do we value? How do we behave on a day-to-day basis? What's important to us as a school district? How do we behave towards one another? How do we deal with situations as they come up? Part of this process of strategic planning will be delving into that very question and looking at and defining what are the values that you hold true as a district, and or which values may even be aspirational values that would you like to see your district become? And again, quality organizations, if you could be thinking even in the back of your minds of either places where you may have worked, organizations that you may have been a part of before, maybe where spouses may have worked, but different firms, companies, etc., and organizations have missions and values. They also have vision. Okay, what's our vision? Where are we headed? Oftentimes they say, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. Okay, we need to determine as your district where you would like to be in 3 to 5 years as a district. We're not talking location-wise. You're in Grace Lake. There's no question there. But the question is, where would you like to see your district move toward in the future? What things would you like to see in your district in the future that you don't see today? These will be conversations that we'll be having as well. Part of the reason why we've gone through the time and the trouble for each of you to meet each other and to talk with each other a little bit, just to hear a little bit about each other, is because you're going to be having some of these conversations with each other about these things. And in doing so, some of the conversations may be easy, some may be very difficult, some may be agreeable, some may be very disagreeable. And all of that is okay. You're all a part of this group because we want a cross-section of your community. One of the biggest challenges that we had, and we had this conversation with Dr. Whitman a number of times, even with some of the board members, is how do we make sure that we're being as inclusive as we can for a process such as this? And that's a very big question. And to that point, I guess I would ask each of you, we would ask each of you, that as you're a member of this group, think about not only the role that you play here, and many of you play multiple roles. You're a teacher and a parent. You live in the community, etc. Some of you only have a single role. No one is better than anyone else. No one has any more authority than anyone else. But the fact of the matter is, you all bring a perspective to the table. And it's those perspectives that we're hoping that you will be able to have some dialogue about so that we can move this process forward in a way that when we're finished, we'll have a product that you can be very proud of that represents your district. So we've got these 3 questions. What's our mission? What do we value? And what's our vision? And then finally, there's one more, and that is, what are our goals? Okay, what do we need to do to get there? And it's this goal setting that many companies, organizations, etc., they focus on just the goals. Ideally, if you've got a mission, a value, and visions in place that are embraced throughout your district and your community, then it's your goals that you just need to revisit on a regular basis. Okay. At this point, it was felt that we should delve into this whole process of looking at all of these aspects to try to determine where we are today as a district. Do you have a defined mission? Do you know who you are and where you're going, what your purpose is? Do we know what your values are? Are they listed somewhere? Is it something that we can all embrace, etc.? Okay, so I'm not going to repeat those things again, but we'll be repeating them throughout the process. So part of the reason why we have scheduled as many meetings as we have, as you would imagine, this all takes time. These aren't things that you get together in a group, you come out, you report out and say, we got our mission. I'm sure it's going to be good for everybody. Unfortunately, the work is not that easy, especially when you're working together with everybody. We want to try to identify a mission, values, and a vision, and then ultimately goals that everyone in this group can embrace and or support to varying extents. Okay, so that's kind of the big picture of what strategic planning, as it relates to what we're going to be doing collectively as a group, what we're going to be focused on. So with that, I'm going to hold off for a second and ask if anybody has any immediate questions on this. We've got more, but I'm just going to pause for a moment. And Rich, since I can't see anybody right now, do you want to see if there's anybody that has any questions that you can see? And if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, I can't see them either. So if you have questions, if you put them in the chat box, then we could refer to those. One thing I'd like to add at this point is the idea of doing this strategic planning exercise. Oftentimes, school districts go through this and then they never go back and visit it again to see if in fact their goals met what they thought they were doing in their mission, value, and vision. That's one of the things that our company does for school districts, in addition to this strategic planning, is the idea of what kind of metrics can we help you look at to determine whether you've met what you as a group have decided that you want to do.
All right. Thanks, Rich. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and continue. And again, we'll pause periodically to see if there's any questions that are lingering out there. But again, we realize we're still at, relatively the introductory level. So the next thing we're going to share with you is the stair-step model. And again, we're going to show you what an ideal school district would look like if you had these things in place and are utilizing them the way that you should. Rich made a very important point in that there are many organizations that will go through a strategic planning process, and then they'll pat themselves on the back and they'll say, yep, we've got a strategic plan and we're all set to go. And then they find a nice place on a nice shelf somewhere, they put it there, and then they never go back to it. Well, a strategic plan, when exercised and used properly, is something that you refer to, we will say, on a day-to-day basis. It's something that you can be reminded of about, we talked briefly about core values. What do you believe? How do you behave on a day-to-day basis? When we're not behaving that way, how do we address that? Where are we going, etc. So this is something that's meant to be long-lasting in your district and something that will give you direction. Now, here's how it's going to give you some direction. First of all, on the very bottom, as a foundational piece, are your values and beliefs. What does your district truly value? What's important? Now, again, we went through this exercise where we asked you all to remember, your favorite memory of grade school. Not too many of you actually spoke about the great academic background that you got that prepared you for high school. Okay, there were little instances of things that you shared, but interestingly enough, it wasn't that piece. We're going to want to make sure that those things that we value and believe are practiced in the district. It's those values and beliefs then that help confirm what your mission is, and then ultimately your vision. So you've got these three pieces, and again, this is a big part of what we'll be spending our first couple of sessions on. In fact, today is primarily talking about mission, but we'll be looking at what mission, how do I identify a mission, what does a good mission look like, and how do we know that it resonates with who we are. So we'll be looking at these three. Now, the fourth piece that we'll be looking at as a part of this process is the goals. And as you can see, the indentations here, it's called a stair-step model for a reason. They all work off of one another. Your beliefs lead to your mission to your vision to your goals. All of those three contribute to your goals. From here, your district goals are then taken on by your superintendent, okay, by Dr. Glickman, to then determine her goals for the district. But then you may be saying, well, those are her goals. What are we all going to do? Those goals actually should be aligned to the principals and buildings goals. Those, for our teachers who are with us, who are many and important, then also can translate to what are our classroom teacher goals. And then finally, it can even go so far as being published and or made known to students, that they can also embrace all of those things to the point where when you take a look at who is responsible for moving the district forward, it's basically the entire district. Okay. Notice we didn't specifically mention board members. Board members fall under the category of the district goals. Not that they're the ones who are doing the goals, but they're a part of developing those district goals. As of right now, this entire group is going to be a part of developing those district's goals. All of this brings about alignment, and we've all, in whatever circles we're in, if we're educators or even in our other lines of work, we talk about how important alignment is when people are working together, pulling together in the same direction for the same cause. Again, the purpose of this process is to align your district's values, mission, vision, and goals in such a way as to move the district forward in a positive way, that you can not only accomplish these things, but then see the fruitful results of them and truly strive to achieve that which is in your vision. So those are the things that we're hoping to bring about as a part of this process. And it's primarily these four bottom rungs, if you will, the values, beliefs, mission, vision, and goals that we'll be working through. So in doing that, we're going to need to talk amongst ourselves about what kind of guidelines are we going to have. You know, some of you are community members, some of you are parents, some of you are teachers. We've got board members here. You're looking around, you know, it's not uncommon for us to kind of look over our shoulder, which is a little bit tough to do on a screen like this, but to look over your shoulder and see where am I in this pecking order? Well, that's why we go through these interaction guidelines. First of all, we want to say that everyone that is a part of this process is viewed as an equal in this process, okay? So, Ms. Casey, I'm going to point you out since you're probably one of our senior members. I hope you're not offended by me saying that, but you're as much of an equal as anybody else in this group, okay? Administrators and board members do not have authority positions during these discussions and this process, okay? They may have more and or different knowledge. They will definitely have other perspectives. Everyone that's a part of this group has a unique perspective. That's why you're a part of this group. And that's why we hope you'll make it your commitment to be a part of all of these meetings, because we'd like to see you here each time to continue to engage in these conversations. You can imagine if we had to bring in a whole new group of people for the next session, doing all of this all over again would just belabor the process and just not allow us to spend our time as wisely as possible. Okay, so again, everyone's an equal in this process. We're going to say right up front, in a world right now that seems to pride itself on disagreeing, we're going to say that it's acceptable to disagree and or have differing opinions. In fact, this, as we say here, leads to high resolution solutions. What we're going to ask you to do, we're going to ask you to speak your mind, but please feel free to disagree, but without being disagreeable. Okay? Be open to the conversations. You know, again, Rich and I were talking during the break. We're excited about the group after having just met all of you. And we like the energy that we feel from all of you. We want you to utilize that energy in positive ways. And as such, don't be afraid to say and share what's on your mind. You all offer unique and special perspective. When we break into small groups, we're going to identify people at times to serve as small group facilitators. Okay, this means that they're going to help the group to kind of stay focused and on task. Okay, when you get different people together, it's very easy to bird walk or go a different direction with something. And so we're going to identify people to kind of serve as group discussion leaders. But this does not mean that they are the leaders of that group. In other words, they too have a right to fully participate in the decisions and discussions, but that they're not in charge of the group as much as they are the logistical people to make sure you stay on task. Okay, I hope that's relatively clear to everybody. A couple more guidelines. This is not a process where at the end we're going to vote. Okay, we don't typically come up with a mission and say all in favor, say aye, all opposed, nay. This is a process by which, as much as possible, and again, I'm going to put a disclaimer in there a bit, as much as possible, we're going to strive to get consensus. Now, consensus, again, is something that you don't see achieved too often, or at least not something that's strived for as much as it should. Consensus means that decisions are worked and reworked until all members are able to state, I can live with that. Okay, it's a matter of sometimes maybe not having it exactly the way you want it, but again, being able to live with it. We've got over 50 people as a part of this group. You could imagine, I've oftentimes joked when I work with groups, if you've got 20 people, you're working with 40 different personalities, depending upon who shows up that day. With 50 people, it could be 100 different personalities. Again, please don't be offended. I have a funny sense of humor sometimes, at least in my own opinion. But nonetheless, it's one of those things that we want you to feel that you have part of a consensus. When all is said and done, when we're done with this process at the end of March, we hope that we're going to have a mission, a vision, values, and some goals that this whole group will look back on together to say, that was some pretty impressive work that we've done, and work that we can be proud of. That's what our goal is from the outset. So starting with that end in mind, that's what we're going to strive for. As such, we have to respect the diversity of personality types. And here, though, we're going to also caution and say, please don't let anyone dominate a group. And if you're one of those kinds of people that just likes to talk a lot, right now I'm feeling like one of those because I realize I've had the stage here for a little bit. But if you recognize that, say, you know what, I've spoken enough now. I think it's time for somebody else to talk. And even more importantly, someone who hasn't said anything, someone who's just quiet, say, what are you thinking? You're awfully quiet. What's your viewpoint or your perspective? It's important that we try to be as inclusive as we can. Sometimes somebody just doesn't have anything to say, but again, you wanted to be on this committee based on what we understand. And as such, we hope that you will consider contributing and just respect the different personality types that will become very apparent as a part of this. Some of us are very linear, some of us are very non-linear in the way that we think, in the way that we talk, and in the way that we act. We're going to have to be understandable to that. We didn't ask anybody what their backgrounds or professions were for those lay people who are part of this group. But, one of the things, oftentimes, engineers are known to be very, black and white, very concrete. And this process may not come across that way at first or initially. In other words, this process is now one that just, boom, you come to an immediate answer. We're looking at big ticket items for your district. Who are you as a district? What's your purpose as a district? Your vision. These things don't just pop out easily. So we're going to have to respect the different personality types as we move forward. Then you've got Rich and I, who even when you're meeting in your small groups, as much as the technology will allow us to, we're going to attempt to enter into your rooms from time to time, especially in case you get stuck, or if you need some fresh ideas, or if you have a question as to whether or not you're heading down the right path. Because, there will be times where we turn you loose for, a half an hour at a time to yourselves, have a conversation around a certain topic. And in doing so, we're not we're not there to check on you. We're just there to support you and help facilitate the conversation. So don't be surprised, and I'll say this to our discussion leaders in particular. If you hear us ringing the doorbell or whatever it is that we need to do to get into your groups, please, if it says Gary or Rich, please let us in.
Okay, Gary, we have a question.
Yes.
We are breaking up as individual groups. Do all groups work toward a shared same activity separately? If so, how do we know if we are in consensus with the other team members who may be having conversations on the same topic outside of our group?
Okay, that's a great question. And we're not going to be breaking up into groups just yet. We still have a bit more to go through before we do that. But to your point, when we do break up into groups, and we've got you split up into 7 different groups with approximately 7 or 8 of you in each of those groups, you're all going to be given the same task. And you're all going to be discussing the same topic. And it's hoped that initially that your group can come up with a general consensus, that you're going to then share it with the other 6 groups when we all get back together as a larger group to see what kind of consistent patterns or themes that we can correlate as you report out. You think that answers the question, Rich?
Yes, so when you're in your small groups, they all have the same objective. And then when you'll have like a spokesperson out of your group. When we come back as a large group, you'll report out, and then we'll try to see what comparisons we have between groups and use that as the next basis for discussion.
Yeah. Okay. So this next item that we're going to share with you is just an illustration, and I'm going to read this to you because this really helps prepare our mindset a little bit as far as the work that we're looking to do. You know, it's so much of what we'll be doing as the strategic planning group, as the core stakeholder team, will be thinking in terms of the organization and the school district as a whole, okay? And what lofty aspirations that you may have. And it's easy to look at it very simply, and this illustration hopefully is going to show you how we hope that you'll view this work, okay? So, a man came upon a construction site where 3 people were working. He asked the first, "What are you doing?" The man replied, "I am laying bricks." He asked the second man, "What are you doing?" And the man replied, "I am building a wall." Okay, doing the same things, different answers. Then he approached the third, and he heard him humming a tune as he worked, and asked, "What are you doing?" And the man stood, looked up at the sky, and smiled, "I'm building a cathedral." Okay, what we're really hoping, without sounding too corny, is that you all are going to be cathedral builders. We want you all to think in terms of that big picture. What can we do for our district, to support our district, to put that foundation in place as a district that's going to enable you to become the district that you'd all love for your kids, for your family, for your community, etc. Okay, not that you don't have that already, but you've got a better chance of getting there if you've got this structure. Okay, so when we're taking a look at what our purpose is, okay, we're all going to be cathedral builders. And if we refer back to that every now and then, we're going to say, you know, you're not a bricklayer, you're a cathedral builder. What do you think? Okay, I hope that's relatively clear. So, we're going to look at mission statements as our next piece that we're going to really delve into in a little bit of detail. Now, there's been a lot of research done regarding what makes for effective mission statements. And there are as many different types of mission statements out there in the world today as one can imagine. We're going to need to develop a mission statement that's going to best describe the purpose of District 46. These are some of the characteristics that make for an effective mission statement. First of all, a mission statement is typically a statement of purpose that is lofty and inspirational. Okay, you read it and you kind of get little goosebumps, if you will. Yet it's outcome-based and focused on what the organization does and achieves. Again, it answers the question, why do we exist as an organization? Okay, so think about that a moment. Why does District 46 exist as a school district? And again, we don't want the bricklayer answer. The bricklayer answer is, well, because it's within these boundaries and we have to have a school and this is what it is. Now, why do we exist as an organization? What's our real purpose? Okay, it's more rhetorical at this point, but this is some of the conversation that you're going to be having in a little while. Okay, another characteristic of an effective mission statement is that it's unique to the organization and states something that you can truly excel at. What can District 46 be the best at in the world? Okay, or at least the best in class. And what can you guys truly be the best at? I don't think any of us goes into any line of work and say, I want to be the second best or I want to be the lousiest that I can be at this. We all want to excel at something. What does District 46 excel at? That also is part of the mission statement. A third piece is that oftentimes it's something that's short and memorable. People in the organization would be able to remember it and repeat it. The words themselves are not as important as the meaning to the people. Okay? In other words, when I was a superintendent, we went through this work. I used to walk around and I used to ask the teachers, what's our mission here again? And without repeating what it is, because I don't want to give you any ideas, but I would ask them. I used to, at the first staff meeting, give a test to the quiz, a quiz to the staff and say, jot down our mission. If we don't know our mission, if we don't know what we're here for, what are we doing here? That's kind of the mindset behind this. Something that should or could be short and memorable if possible. Oftentimes it has powerful verbs. It's something passive. It's something that we're doing somewhat aggressively if we can. Okay, that describes it. And we're going to give you some examples of these in a moment. Finally, a mission statement, when stated well, is something that you will see clear goals and actions just naturally flow from it. Okay, you say, this is who we are, and this is the work that we're going to be doing. Okay, they just kind of flow together. All of these pieces will flow together if we all do our work well. Okay, so those are some of the characteristics of an effective mission statement. So we're going to go a step further then. Jumped a little bit too soon. So we're not going to break into small groups with this as of yet, but we're going to ask you to think a little bit about what are some sample mission statements that you may have heard or that you think may be a mission statement, or even a slogan out there. Okay, and we're going to make the distinction between slogans that in the near future here as well. But anything come to your mind or questions that you may have, is this a mission statement or is that a mission statement? We're going to ask you to either write them in the chat box or raise your hand to be called on to share it verbally if you want to try to do that. Again, we'll have to see how we can moderate this a little bit. But can anybody come up with a mission statement and or a slogan that they've heard commonly used to describe an organization? And at this point too, I should also mention that I'll interchange the terms organization and district. Your district obviously is an organization and your organization is your district. So I will use that terminology interchangeably. Do we have anything popping up there?
Yeah, we have a couple here.
Go ahead, Rich.
Learners, tomorrow's leaders, think different, success for every student. Abbott Labs is to the fullest. Wake the world up to Jesus. Tell them his truth. Show them.
Yep.
A lot of school districts use the words lifelong learners. Exceptional services for exceptional students. All students always. Google's is don't be evil, just do it. It's Nike's.
Mm-hmm.
MD Anderson, to eliminate cancer. Yeah, so those are all very good ones.
Those are great examples. And, you know, even if you didn't know, you could easily be reminded, you know, so one of the first ones you mentioned, Rich, was think different. Okay, I'll give you all a quick second. Whose logo is that? Or whose slogan is that? Okay, those of us, particularly in education, since a lot of us use the Apple computers, know that that's Apple's slogan. Okay, they have branded that. And that's another piece I want to mention is that going through this process will also give you a chance to either brand or rebrand your district in such a way that, again, you can all be proud of it. When you hear these different slogans or ways of describing, you know, I know we've got one of our participants mentioned that she works for AbbVie, and she knew what AbbVie's, you know, mission was. You know, I find that to be impressive. To me, that tells me AbbVie is doing a good job of making their employees know what they're there for. Not only the employees, but then also those who benefit from that work as well. So those are great examples. Thanks for sharing in the chat box. Any more of those, Rich, before I go ahead and share some of these?
Tesla's to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy.
Yep. You know, even there was one there that I noticed mentioned Jesus in there. Churches are organizations too, and they have missions, you know, and I'm not talking missions like out in the field, although they have those kinds of missions as well, but they have a goal in mind that they have for people who attend there. Just as, you know, hopefully our district has a focus on what we're there for. That's the whole purpose of what a mission stands for. So hopefully that's given you some light into what a mission is. Now, this next time we're going to share with you some of the slogans. I think just about all of them have already been shared. Just do it, you've heard before, is Nike. Think different, Apple, finger looking good. You know, many of these, it's just kind of fun. It's almost like trivia. If you say finger looking good, can you identify? You know, interestingly enough, when you take a look at organizations, KFC is now the official name of what used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken. And you may or may not know, or maybe you do, but it's just an interesting thing to note. When once upon a time fried food started getting a bad name, that fried foods are not good for you, KFC said, oh my goodness, we're Kentucky Fried Chicken. What's that going to do to our business? So they rebranded themselves and they call themselves KFC. And for your young kids, if you were to ask your kids growing, your younger children, if you will, what does KFC stand for? They may not even know what those initials stand for. But the point being, that's how they rebranded themselves to not lose favor in the market, so to speak. A diamond is forever, the De Beers company, the happiest place on earth. If you've ever been there, it is. I have to say, if there's any place that I've been to recently, and I've been to Disney World within the last year and a half, every single person in that place is in a good mood. They, the one in Orlando where I was, employ a great number of senior citizens, people 65, 75, some look even older, that were working there in different capacities, some just picking up things off the ground and so on. Everybody happy as can be. When you ask anybody a question, they smile, and it's not a fake smile. They smile and they respond, they give you the answer. It truly is, in my mind. Maybe you've had a bad experience there, but I didn't. I believe that it is truly the happiest place on earth, Disney World. And then the ultimate driving machine, BMW. Never driven one, so I don't know if it is the ultimate. But again, that's how they branded themselves. Now, we mention these things because oftentimes organizations can do both. They have a mission statement that speaks more specifically as to why they exist as an organization. Okay, and then they have a slogan that represents it in a short manner like these do. Okay, Apple, I think we all know that everything they do, they try to think a little bit differently. Okay, that's just one example. So we're going to go on and take a look at a couple actual mission statements. Now, these are slogans. These are mission statements. And I'm going to give you a chance to take a look at or to think about what these are. Okay, so this is an actual mission statement for a real organization that most of you will be familiar with. Now, you can either put in the comment or just make a mental note to yourself. Celebrating animals, confronting cruelty. I'll tell you, it's not the obvious one that most people think of first. Rich, anybody, not that they needed to, but anybody put anything in the chat box? I said they didn't necessarily need to.
Ida.
Yep, see, that's the immediate one that most people think of. This is actually the mission statement for the Humane Society. Okay, another one. To build healthier lives free of cardiovascular diseases and stroke. If anybody asks you the question, why do you exist as an organization? Boom, to build healthier lives free of cardiovascular disease and stroke.
American Heart Association.
You got it, the American Heart Association. Again, look at their mission, you know what their work is. Okay, this next one, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. The world's information.
IBM. Google.
Good guess. It is Google. Okay, we're using it. We're using one of their platforms right now. That's their mission statement. It still is today. Some of these, I had a double check from back a couple of years ago when we started doing these kinds of presentations to what they are today. This is still Google's mission statement. This one's kind of interesting. This one also has a slogan that we just mentioned earlier, but the slogan is very different than this mission. Well, not very, maybe you can see the correlation. To experience the emotion of competition, winning, and crushing competitors.
Nike.
You got it. that is Nike. And of course, their slogan is just do it. Okay. So got a few more here. To empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Talk about a lofty mission. What would empower every person? Or who would empower every person? Again, just for the sake of time, we're going to move it along. That's Microsoft. Oh, very good. That's a good guess as well. In fact, you know what? Amazon is a good one. I haven't looked up Amazon's lately. I should look that one up. That'd be an interesting one to see as well. This is easy. This is a very short mission statement, but I can tell you this is their mission statement. It's also a slogan.
Facebook.
Oh, no, that's a good answer, though.
Twitter.
Another good answer.
TED Talks.
What is it?
TED Talks.
You got it. Those are TED Talks. Think about what TED Talks do. That's exactly what they do. And it's great that they could, so succinctly define what their mission is. Committed to bringing the best personal computing experience to students, educators, creative professionals, and consumers around the world through its innovative hardware, software, and internet offerings. It'd be kind of tough to memorize. There's quite a bit there. But nonetheless, anybody have an idea?
IBM, Dell, Adobe, Hewlett.
You name it. It's definitely a computer company. This one just happens to be Apple's. Okay, so that's what Apple's is. Now, granted, their slogan is think differently. Okay, but again, there's the distinction between what their actual mission is and the slogan. So we want to make sure that we, recognize those. And again, as a school district, our hope and our plan in working through this process with you is to first identify the mission, because that's what's going to drive the organization and the rest of these pieces that we're going to be striving to accomplish. But if we, if a slogan came along with it, wouldn't be a bad thing. Okay, to make people happy, we kind of alluded to that earlier. That actually was Walt Disney, the man himself. That was his mission, which also, I'm going to go ahead and mention just as an aside, I realize we've got 50 of us on this particular screen right now, but mission statements are also something that individual people can do. Both Rich and I work with superintendents primarily, individually mentoring them and so on. And oftentimes we'll ask them, what's your mission as a superintendent or even just as a person? This is, this can be very thoughtful work for any of us. If you just look yourself in the mirror and say, what's my mission in life? Gives you some real food for thought. So then extrapolate that and say, well, now as an organization, as a district, what's their mission? What should that look like? Okay, so finally we've got one more quick page of these. And this one, this one's a little bit repetitive. These I just recently looked up in the last couple of weeks just to see. This one, well, again, we'll let you be the judge. To entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe, again, very aspirational, through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. You think about what's the world's premier entertainment company?
Netflix.
Good guess. Excellent guess. Even more premier than Netflix.
Pixar.
Even greater than that. And
HBO.
What'd you say, Rich?
HBO.
HBO. I'll go ahead and share. It's actually the Disney company. Now, remember we showed that was Walt Disney as a man. His personal mission was, for everyone to be happy. But the Disney company, you may or may not know, but Disney today owns ESPN. Disney owns ABC TV. Disney owns Hulu channels. I mean, take a look at their mission and then think about these things. It drives what they're doing now. And then think about Disney World and all the Disney properties and movies. Pixar, I think, is even a part of that as well. So that is built into this. But again, this mission drives what they're doing. And that's, again, what's our purpose as a school district that we're going to be asking. Okay, I'm just going to do one more. And for those of you who like to travel, connect people to what's important in their lives through friendly, reliable, low-cost air travel.
American Airlines.
Lower cost than that.
Southwest.
Are you just reading these? Are you seeing these, Rich, or are you making these up?
No, I'm reading Southwest.
Okay, good. Okay.
Delta.
Yeah. It is Southwest. And this is their actual mission statement, Southwest Airlines. And again, this is probably the best example because this is something that if you were to ask the employees at Southwest, and again, it's one of those airlines where, again, all the employees are the owners of the airlines, that they will tell you that this is what they do. Okay, that they can recite this, and this is why you get such better service. Knock on wood, hope nobody else works for any other competing airlines, but people will tell you that the service that they provide at Southwest Airlines typically is second to none. And it's because they are more friendly, reliable, and so on as an airline. So we've gone through a number of mission statements. We're getting to the point now where we're going to break this up shortly and take another break. That last one, I recently looked up Apple, and again, it was a neat slogan, but I honestly can't tell if it was more of a slogan or their mission. They bring amazing people together to make amazing things happen. But that's what it says on Apple's website right now for what they do. Okay. So we share all of those things with you to share with you District 46's mission. Now, we're going to take a chance here and just ask. And if you have it in front of you, don't read it because that's not fair. Does anybody know offhand, first of all, if District 46 has a mission statement? And then number two, what it is? Okay, so we're going to wait just a brief moment and see if we get any brave souls, or knowledgeable souls, I should say, because you don't necessarily have to be not only brave, but you have to know if there is a mission statement. Thoughts, comments, anything coming up, Rich?
Starting to. One response is, yes, I think there's something about lifelong learners.
Okay.
Another answer is provide an educational environment that maximizes the potential of all students to be prepared for life's opportunities while developing a lasting appreciation for learning.
Wait. Holy cow. Somebody wrote all that?
Yes.
Okay, identify that person to see if they're reading it off their wall.
I got it off the website.
Okay, well, and that's great to know that it's there.
I pulled it up when you were talking about it because I didn't know what it was, so I looked it up.
Okay, no. Well, see, but that's a great thing. And who's this speaking? Do you mind identifying yourself? We're all friendly.
Liz Larkin.
Okay, thanks, Liz, for being open to sharing that. Admittedly said she didn't know what it was. In talking with a couple of people from your board and or administration, we said, is your current mission statement something that is currently utilized? Do people know about it? And the prevailing response was, no, I don't think too many people know about it. Okay, so, and that's the challenge with mission statements. And I guess I'm telling you that Rich and I are here, first of all, at the request of Dr. Glickman and the board, because they do see the value of having these things, not only to have them, but to utilize them and to practice them. So one of the things that we're prepared to do is to just share with you what Liz just kind of shared with us. It is on your website, and you do have a mission statement. And that mission statement is this, that the Community Consolidated School District 46 will provide an educational environment that maximizes the potential of all students to be prepared for life's opportunities while developing a lasting appreciation for learning. Okay? So now, we've said all of that, and just kind of bear with 1 second. If we take a look at what are the characteristics of an effective mission? Well, the first one that's not even listed on here is the fact that people should know about it. Because if you don't even know about it, then it's hard to see if it's effective or not. But is it a statement of purpose that's lofty and inspirational? Okay. Is there somewhat of an outcome base or a focus on what the organization is supposed to be achieving? Does it answer the question, why do we exist as an organization? So I'm reading this right now, but we're going to go ahead and mention this now. So we're going to break you up in groups in just a moment. I'm going to finish going through this piece with some intentionality in just a moment. But this is going to be what your first assignment is going to be in your small groups. And if we can just get through this piece, we'll wrap up the night and see what groups say. But we're going to ask you to take a look at your district's current mission as we just saw it, and then to ask these questions about it. Is it something that's unique to your organization? Is it something that's short and memorable that people in the organization would be able to remember and repeat it? Are those words important and meaningful to people? Are there some powerful verbs in there? And can we get some clear goals and actions to flow from it? So we're going to ask you to have some conversation about that centers around those other pieces. Okay, so we have assigned you all to a group, and in that group, you've got a group leader. And what we did for now is that we just identified some of the administrators, because we want to just give them a heads up to say, we're going to ask you to be the group leader. But as group leaders, they're going to turn on the recordings, because we're going to record what gets said here, just for posterity, if you will. It's an open meeting. And in addition to recording it, we want you to have some conversation about your district's current mission. What we need to identify is that if this is what your district's current mission is it something that we want to continue to utilize as it is? Is it something that we want to consider tweaking? Is it something that we want to consider just redoing and revising collectively as a group, which we have the authority to do? So we'd like you to have this conversation within your groups for a half an hour. In fact, we're going to turn you loose, ask you to take just a very quick, short break if you need to, and then go join your group and have this conversation until 8:45. And at 8:45, we're all going to meet again as a large group, and we're going to give each group just a couple minutes to briefly report on what they felt about their mission statement. If it's something that they think can be usable, if it's something that can be tweaked, if it's something that needs to be revised or just completely redone. And you could use your own words. You don't have to use those options, for yourselves. But that's what we want to hear from each of the 7 groups who will be meeting. Okay? Any questions?
Gary, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to speak to the group for a moment to further expand something that you shared.
Thank you.
About recording the conversations. I just feel like I need to be clear about this. So Gary had mentioned that this is an open meeting, it's an open board meeting. And if we were all on site, that would mean that anybody could come and watch what's happening and could honestly, if you're sitting around the table, could pull up a chair to your table and listen to the conversation. So for that reason, we have to record all of these small groups and post them on our website. And in fact, one of the groups at each time will be streamed live on our website, and that's just something that we're required to do. And that this time will be group 1. And I don't want to make anybody self-conscious. I'm speaking right now, and whoever happens to be watching is watching, and it'll be recorded as well. And hopefully we won't be focused on that, but I did want to make sure everyone was aware of that.
Yep, and we hope that even by doing that those previous tenets that we had mentioned, that you'll feel free to speak your mind, good, bad, or indifferent. We value with your perspective and what you have to say. We hope that you'll be open to sharing that. Okay? So with that, Rich, anything else we need to say before we turn them loose in their groups?
Well, it's going to bring you to a different tab on your computer. So I would keep this tab open so you can come back to the meeting when we come back at 8:45. So when you click on the hyperlink, it'll bring you to a new place. So it'll be another tab that'll be open, and then you can leave this tab open so that you can come back to it.
Okay. Group leaders, everybody okay? All right.
Kristen has put the link in again on the chat box as the last entry, so you could just click on that. It should bring you to it'll bring you to what group you're in, and then you'll have to go from there to your group.
Okay, and Rich and I are going to stay, and maybe I can ask Chris Vaipon to also stay on in case if anybody's having any technical problems, just come back to the large group and we'll see if we can help you through. Regardless, if you don't find your small group, but you want to come back and join us again at 8:45, and again, I don't want to take up any more time because we're using up your valuable time. Just come back and join us at 8:45, and we'll get a quick summary from each of the groups as to what you think about your district's current mission statement. Okay? Okay, so with that, you're all free to go. I'm going to take this down so I can see if anybody else has any questions as well.
You know,
To do, but open up that email and scroll all the way down to the bottom of the invitation.
Okay. It's the one from Lynn saying good afternoon.
Correct.
Okay. All the way down the bottom.
Well, you know what? Actually, on that one that you're looking at, I think isn't the word here, HERE, a link?
Right, and that takes me to the whole group strategic plan.
Right. Now scroll down. You go down a little bit further from there, and you'll see all the small groups.
Never thought.
Okay, do you see it now?
Okay, and now I just click on this little one.
Yep.
Where my name is.
Where your name is.
Yes.
I think you got it.
Well, holy cow.
Well, no, we still see you though, so I'm not sure you have it.
Oh. It says ready to join. Is that?
Yep.
So that's good. You're ready to join that new meeting. We'll just ask that you hang up on this one so that.
Okay.
We'll see you in about 20 minutes or so.
All right.
You've done well, Paula.
I'll tell you, I am definitely technology challenged, but I do try.
Yes, you do. And for that, you get all the credit in the world.
Here I am hanging up.
Okay. See you in
Who
20
knows
minutes.
if I'll get back to you.
Oh, she cute. Oh, we got Kelly back.
Yeah, I've been waiting. Nobody will let me in. It just says
Really?
you will join once you're admitted.
Kelly, what group number are you?
4.
Let me pop in there real quick and see if I can get Vince to let you in.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right.
Now they
And Peter, are you trying to get?
Yeah.
She was one of my teammates, and Lorna had her as a student, and now she was. Hello, Mr. Vaipon.
I think my last teacher that finally retired from GMS was Mrs. Hoffman years ago.
Oh, yeah.
She would have been she was the last one, I think. She still keep up until a couple years ago.
I'm gonna both mute myself. I'm not sure.
Vaipon, what do you got? Like a group in every, with a computer for every group or what?
Oh. Did you get a notification of Vince of somebody trying to join?
No.
We're
Okay.
missing 3 people.
Have you gotten any notifications?
No, I have not. But I know at least one of them was trying to join.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah. Do.
Hey, you guys, in the chat, I put a Google Doc that we can use to take notes on. Can you see if you can open that?
Sure. Look at that, I can't open it.
That's
I'm gonna
great.
spell my name. Okay?
Yeah, go ahead. Every time I run a team facilitator meeting, I share.
I can't. I don't have editing access.
Oh, sorry. Here, I will.
I heard that, son.
All right, how do I give you
Good thing
that?
we're not being recorded right now.
Yeah, right. I haven't started that yet. How do I do that?
People don't want to hear a walk down memory lane.
Yeah.
Get link. Change. It says viewer. Look at editor. Then anyone with this link. Done. Let's see if I have a new link in here. See if you can click on the second one, Lynn and Jim, and see if that one will allow you to edit.
No. I'll reopen it. I'm gonna.
Whatever.
Yeah, that worked.
Pretty good.
Let me try and open it again.
Yeah, but I don't see anybody else trying to get in.
Yeah, normally I'd get a little thing that says like, ding dong.
Well, most of them were parents that were. Paula Casey, Kelly Justino, Trent Gordon, those are all parents.
Yeah.
Courtney wasn't in the big meeting. So I guess we can just start. I mean, we have to be back in 15 minutes, so we might as well.
All
Start
right.
your recording, Vince.
I guess. Let's see, record meeting. Make sure everyone is ready. Okay. Hit start, and we are recording. All right. Do I have any volunteers of this large group to be note taker and or sharer when we get back?
I'll be the note taker.
All right. I'm going to make note of that because next time you don't have to do that.
Okay.
Jim, you want to share?
I am potentially, supposedly the secretary for the union. I should, be able to take notes.
Yeah. Jim, you want to be our sharer?
Sure, I'll be the sure.
Sure. Okay. That'll get you off the hook for future ones, future groups then. All right, and then I took a picture of the slide because I wasn't going to remember the 4 questions, so let me pull those up. You can see the mission statements on our note sheet. So looking at that, number 1 says, review the current district mission statement and talk about if it's got lofty, inspirational, yet focused on what the district does. Answers the questions, why do we exist, what's our purpose?
To me, it seems just vague.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think it's. I mean, you want to talk about lofty goals? I guess it probably falls short of that.
I mean, I do like how it incorporates all students, right? So we're making
all students come to school, but that should be reflected in the mission statement. And because that's who you serve. Sure.
Building community builders is a potential phrase. I want to make like chapter of that. Yeah, okay. Thanks. I just want to make sure it was in the notes. I really liked it.
Okay, thank you.
So I think almost all of us have had a first blush. So did Irina, did you want to share anything? And I know Mr. Vaipon that you were just coming back in. So you were doing other duties as well.
Well, I agree with much of what was said. I feel like it's very outdated and therefore not very memorable. It just seems, for lack of a better term, very vanilla. It's just what you would expect a school to write, rather than really have something memorable and something that you could repeat back and know where it is, rather than doing a Google search to see what it is.
So maybe a little bit bolder or a little bit more pizzazz or something of any of those kind of terms that you were thinking.
Something. I don't feel like it has those powerful words.
Okay, so thank you for going back to those characteristics and such to do that. Chris, did you want to add anything?
I would agree. I like the word, right? The term bolder or bold kind of stuck out to me, and it seems like, and then the powerful verbs and all of that. I agree.
So I'm going to take a turn, and then Tanya, I see it looked like you wanted to take another turn too.
Yes.
I think it's fair to let people know in the group that both Christy and I serve on our district equity and inclusion committee. It's something that we both are very, very proud of. It's something that's important to us. I feel like we need something bolder in there also about that everyone means everybody. And we're taking everybody from where they come, and we're going to do our best. And that's not the words we want in there, but that's the feeling I want to have in there, that when we say all students, all means all, really, and of every diversity, equity topic. Christy, I'm not sure if you're knowing what I'm trying to say about that, but I think that's so important in our mission, that we are inclusive. We want everybody. We want everyone's voices at the table. We want all of those phrases. Mm-hmm. So that would all need to spew out. But
I love that, Paul. And I would also say, like, we also want, I mean, if I think about all, I also think about like all teachers, all staff, all parents, that idea of like, I mean, not to be too cheesy, and I'm not even a World Teachers Club fan, but like the whole idea of like everybody in. I think, there's a power in the community So it's all students, but it's also all community members that I really like.
So, because we do want to create a place where the amazing teachers that we have love being there too, and are
Absolutely.
welcome and free and available to do all the important things that they do, with some curriculum guidelines. I got that in because of mine.
Supported by a strong curriculum. How about that?
Tanya, I think you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, it was just something that just occurred to me. I mean, I really like the idea of making it bolder. And I think there's something around, whether, not sure the right way to put it, the diversity and inclusivity and everything, but I think it's all leading to, being exceptional. And I mean, the whole reason my husband and I moved our kids to Grays Lake was because of the good schools. I mean, we were in Chicago and it's like, okay, well, where can we go that has really good schools? And so we were drawn to Grays Lake, but I think that could be something built into the mission statement about, building exceptional people in some way. But I don't mean it like elitist, I mean, like still everybody, I don't know the right words to use, but really like building an exceptional kind of learning program that maximizes the potential of everyone, or, whatever.
Yeah.
High caliber, high quality, strong environments, all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Can I?
Your turn.
All right. So last year I was working with some parents at the Early Childhood Center, just kind of tweaking some of our things. And one of the terms that we used that we wanted to foster in our youngest students was to be socially inclusive learner, because the majority of our students are part of the special ed population, and so we wanted to be sure we included that as part of who we are, because we thought it was really important as we bring in our tuition students and other community tiers, that we're all one family. And we wanted every family to feel welcome. And we have, I don't know, I can't put a number on it, but up to 15 different languages at any given time in our center. So it's really important to us for that inclusion factor.
So I go back to that first line of the characteristics of meaningful and effective mission statements. And it says it should answer the question, why do we exist as an organization? So what's the product? What's the end goal for our students and for our teachers as they go through 9+ years? Jana, it can be 10 years, 11 years when they review, right? What's our end goal? What's the hope? I know we're not producing widgets, but what is the end?
But there is no end. That goes back to we are just the beginning of a long journey together. Here we go again together. Yeah. That we start something. That we, help them start something. And yeah.
Yeah, kind of like building, like striving to be better personally and striving to be better community members and striving to be more inclusive. I mean, just like striving to be better in all those ways.
I like
So maybe we start almost with a slogan and kind of hone in on some of the things and use the mission statement to expand. So going off of Tanya's, we've heard it before. I don't know if it's officially a slogan, but strive for excellence. Maybe we start with something and then build on it and add the inclusivity and what are we striving for, and kind of expand on that.
I have a question. I'm sorry, Paul, can I ask? So with a lot of that statement has to do with the students. Are we also looking for something that might include the families, the community, that's all being shared stakeholders in all of this, partners.
I second that motion very strongly. Yes.
So when I think about striving for excellence or striving to be better, that's for everybody. Me and my job, that's also as a dad, that's also as a, I'm thinking about today, I'm thinking about Inauguration Day, about being informed citizens, ready to fully participate in world issues. And, all those things are really important. And while, yes, I know, I focus on my curriculum, but it's really to help us to get to all those other things too. It's just not the math, it's just not the reading, but it's all those other skills too that, we need problem solvers, we need critical thinkers, we need to evaluate sources, we need, all those big things, which probably aren't going to be in a mission statement like this, but they might trickle into some of the other things, along the way too. You probably, Tanya, you don't know me, these are the things I talk about all the time. My other friends here, the guy, he's just talking again, the important things he always talks about.
No, I strongly agree with all of that. And it comes with, I think part of that is to, building empathy for other people as well. So it's critical thinking and empathy as well as, the regular math and reading and things like that.
Those life skills.
The life skills, yes, those are critical.
Yeah.
Some school districts have moved, especially when they have a high school, they've moved towards something like portrait of a graduate or portrait of a informed person leaving our system, all those kind of things. And those things I think fit into all of those things too. Just because I'm timekeeper as well, it's 8:44. We got to go back in a minute.
Oh my goodness, how can I sum up all this amazing conversation? I had no idea this was going to be that hard.
I'm so happy that we do,
We have some good notes.
Thank you, Christy. No, we're definitely going to have to keep those side by side. I think I'm going to, great. Thank you, everybody.
And
I'm so excited. This is amazing. I'm so excited about what's going to come of it.
Thank you for this wonderful group. So I really valued all of the sharing. And I was supposed to monitor that everyone was talking, everyone was doing a good job with that, all those kind of things. And thank you for all of that.
Absolutely.
So any last suggestions for Tina as our wonderful spokesperson?
So I just want to make sure, we are definitely on the consensus that this can be updated. That it's good for what it was, but it can be updated, and be more powerful and be more memorable. That's yeah. Okay.
I heard many of us use the word bold.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
planning using this kind of format. So everybody is going to learn from us. And we'll just keep getting better and better. But yeah, absolutely. We are so sorry that there were some people that didn't get to participate in that last conversation. Really sorry. And before I hand it back to Gary, I wanted to ask a favor. So I really love to share the great news on Twitter. Really like to share the work of our district on Twitter. So I would like to take a screenshot of this group so that I can post it. And so I like to tell people that so that they can, you know, look pleasant for a moment. So I hope you don't mind. We've got a bunch of people. I think I can't get necessarily every person, but I've got, you know, a whole bunch of us on the screen. So we'll include the folks that I have. So 1, 2, 3. I'll take one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And Gary and Rich, I also have a picture of, I took a screenshot earlier of one of your slides with a story on it because I thought that was such a great story. Can I also post that?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Then I'm done. And can you?
Well, and Lynn, to your point, you are all pioneers. And, you know, at the same time, I'll just say you've invited Rich and I to pioneer with you because we have now worked with a group this large in this format before. And granted, there were a couple of what I would call very minor glitches. And again, we apologize for those who were not able to get to their small groups. But by and large, I attended, I got to 3 groups. Rich, did you get to 2 or 3 groups?
Yes, I got to all 3 groups.
Okay. And 6 of the 7 groups, well, I can speak for my 3 and you can speak for your 3. Awesome conversations that were taking place there. And it's exactly what we're hoping to see as a result of your work is those great conversations, because that's going to help develop, you know, what it is that ultimately will represent District 46. So with that, our time is very short. We want to be respectful. I noticed that many of you did take notes, and we'll ask you if you could to send those to Lynn at the end of this session, or just include Lynn so that she can get them to Rich and I, or just include Rich and I, whatever's most convenient, you know, on that piece. But I would like to hear from all 7 groups, and again, to try to do so as fairly as we can. Can somebody summarize from each of the groups in just a minute or 2 as to what your group talked about with the current mission? Group 1, just go right in the order.
All right, and I warned them if I need help summarizing, because it was a great conversation and everybody got to participate. So if I missed something, please let me know. So in group 1, in summary, the mission statement as it was fabulous, but it is ready for an update based on our characteristics that we're looking for. We are looking for something older, definitely something more memorable, something that is more inclusive to the whole community that contributes to the life of D46. Students, families, and teachers, anybody that can be involved. And we would definitely like it to include that striving for exceptionalism, just that great, that loftiness of a goal. We had a lot of conversation towards including words of community and inclusivity into that, into our mission statement, as well as outcomes. I think I got it.
Good, beautiful, nice summary. Thank you. We won't comment. We're just going to go ahead and move forward so we can get everybody. Group 2, please.
All right, so kind of just quickly what we talked about when we read the mission statement as is. Doesn't really seem inspirational. We don't feel it's outcome based or doesn't have that call for action. Like the goals are not flowing from it. We don't feel like there's something measurable coming out of it. people talked about how it was not easy to find on the website. We also talked about we don't feel that it distinguishes us from other districts. Is it memorable? We didn't think so. We believe that once we have a mission statement and it's out there, the district needs to strategize to make sure that people know it, understand it, and more importantly, use it. Before I get on to like where we ended in our consensus of group 2, one of the interesting things I heard in group 1 was talking about the word striving was said and that you guys liked it. We actually came out as the opposite. We said, why are we only striving? Like, we don't strive, we do better. So that was like just kind of interesting that a different aspect of group 2 versus group 1. So we ended it with a consensus of we don't think that we should keep it. We don't even think that tweaking is going to work. So we're kind of in the vote of let's throw it out and rebuild.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brittany. Group 3.
I think that's our group. So the short answer to the question of what to do with the old mission statement, we similarly came to the consensus that we should scrap it and start fresh, which then of course led to discussion around what the new one should look like. We talked a lot about community, to echo group 1 sentiment, and connecting to other community organizations. So for example, one of our library mission statements was connecting community, enriching lives, inspiring ideas. So one thing we liked about that one was the sort of structure of it, that sort of trio of concepts that is stated plainly and seems to sort of stick with you. And then we kind of just collected a few verbs that we liked: empower, dream, cultivate, engage. Talked about the concept of curiosity, and again, also wanting to make sure that our mission statement includes something that's measurable. So another example that was given, I think, was achieving beyond expectations was another sort of example outside one. So we liked that concept because, again, measurable is important.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julia. Julia, are you Canadian?
No, not at all. Colorado.
Group 4.
Yeah, that would be our group. Group 2 kind of nailed what we had a lot to say. We thought the mission statement was probably a good starting point, but it was missing some of those lofty goals. We liked that it focused on student, but we thought that we could bring in more of our equity and diversity aspect of, what the district has been focusing on the last many years now. So we felt it would also be beneficial to make it more visible, as group 2 had talked about. I gave a short kind of blurb of what we did at the fire station, and we actually, because we go through this every year, at least we used to go through this every year, and we would change the mission statement every year. So in order to get them to stop changing it, we actually painted it on the walls inside the fire stations so that they could change it every year. That made it a lot easier for people to remember it and they could see it, instead of just being hidden on the one page on the website. So it needs to be more visible. We thought it had some powerful verbs in it, but it's not unique to District 46. You could almost describe any educational system with what we have. It's a little vague.
Sure.
And then I think that pretty much covers it.
Good, very good. Thank you, Jim. Group 5.
Yeah, we like the thought that it said all students and lifelong learning and community. And we just think it's not memorable. It's too long. You can't remember it. You get a vague idea of what it says, but it's not strong enough, and it doesn't seem, you're not inspired by it. There's so many words in there. And so we do like the word community. We like the word welcoming, warm, inviting. But we would agree with everyone else that it needs a rewrite.
Okay, very good. And group 6, we're getting there.
All right, so we just got here, but probably is the same as most. So yeah, we thought it started out the name. We didn't think we needed the name because a lot of those other ones we looked at, there was no name there. So why start with the name? It was pretty vague. with some of the ideas we did like, but then we started getting way into an area where we thought words like mentors, role models, diversity, global confidence, society, adaptability, words like that were needed for what we're really trying to accomplish when we have students in our building. That mission statement, it seems to be directed towards students, but there's so much more in the school, including staff, teachers, other people, community members, everybody. But then again, you get into the danger zone of being vague if you get too wide. So we had a whole discussion about that. Yeah, I was actually on this committee that wrote this mission statement. I think maybe a couple of you here also were. I just remember it being, I think we spent like a half day deciding to capitalize the ALO, and that we were like, "Ooh, look what we did. It's so crazy." But you know, it was like nobody could agree on an exact word. And I think when there was no agreement, it became, okay, yeah, that works. That's good enough. It says what we wanted to. So I thought we had some more powerful notions when we began, and it seemed to get watered down and vague as the further we went. So.
Okay, thanks, Tracy. And finally, last but not least, group 7.
All right. Oh, hold on. I just disappeared.
Oh, you're still there, Jim.
All right. Well, my screen disappeared, so I don't know there's a way to find it.
Oh, okay.
So give me just a second here.
Yeah, please.
I know what I did. All right. Sorry about that. So many of the things that were said in our group as well, community, all those type of things. But we kind of lit on some things that we specifically wanted to share. Our notes are rather detailed, but we kind of felt it was outdated. So we thought we needed to start anew. And the 4 big points we kind of thought about, it needs to include equity in some manner. We didn't get into how to word all that stuff, but equity for sure. It needed to include something that was inclusive or inclusion. It definitely needs to be more powerful. It needs to say, one of the things we talked about is the current one says will provide, drop the will. The district is providing, so make it more powerful that way. And I think the last thing that we really was a big strength is it needs to have a groundwork of some sort that leads us to be goal focused. The current one doesn't seem to have us goal focused with any direction. I kind of said from my teacher standpoint, I look at it and said, okay, I've got some goals in there. Put something in there that as a teacher, I can say, all right, this is where I need to go, or the community needs to go. So like the big things for us was equity, inclusion, some groundwork that being goal focused, and it's got to be more powerful.
Awesome. Boy, I've got to tell you, that was a short period of time that you had in your group. You barely had 20 minutes, and you covered a lot of ground to the point that you've given Rich and I some clear direction as to where we need to go next with this group. And, as we tried to, share with both the board and Dr. Glickman that this is a fluid, organic process. We don't know exactly for sure where we're going to end up at any time, or necessarily where we're going to start out. I could flip to a slide to say what we're going to be discussing next time, but rather than, take the time, we want to respect your time. It's 9:02, and you guys have been phenomenal. You've provided some excellent feedback, some great conversation. We've got some work ahead of us because it looks like we're going to be developing a new mission. So I would say, gird your loins, if we could put it in those terms, and prepare to jump into that as a part, and only a part of our process moving forward. Our next meeting is 2 weeks from today. And at that time, we'll be meeting at 6 o'clock again. We'll be meeting as a whole group. We'll send you an agenda in advance of those steps that we will be taking. There may be an assignment in between. And if there is, again, nothing that you're going to need to study for, just give us your thoughts, ideas, etc. If you're able to do that and get it back to us, we'll provide it to you probably in a Google form, so it'll be easy for us to get that information. But beyond that, just on behalf of Rich and I, we just want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of this process. You can tell already by the words that you're generating that you're serious about taking this taking this on wholeheartedly, and I think it's exciting. And again, that's why it was important to kind of know who's all involved, because you are the people that will be shaping the district for the future. With that, Rich, do you have any other comments or things to say at this point?
Well, I think it's a great start, and there's sure a lot of similarities between the 7 groups as you reported out. So I think we have a great start.
So with that, I believe, Dr. Glickman, we've got to, for formality's sake, go back to our regular meeting. But again, just thank you for being a part of this, and we look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from tonight. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rich and Gary. This was a great start for us. And I want to comment to everyone, yes, we do have to go back to our regular meeting. We have only one other item on our agenda, which is public comment. And we have, certainly any of you are welcome if you have public comment that you wanted to share. And then we can have people who might be submitting public comment through a form on our website. But I also want to respect everyone's time, because this is the end of the strategic planning portion. So I would certainly invite folks, board members, to now we get just a couple of things. Mr. Whitman will give a couple of minutes to see how comment is coming into the forum.
Yeah, you cut out there.
So again, please don't. Oh, I did? Okay. I don't know what you heard. I was inviting people to say goodnight, although you're welcome to stay on the call, but we know it was a long day, and we all have working things to do tomorrow, and that we're giving it just a few minutes to see if any of our community members outside this space are submitting any comments to our board through public comment. And so we'll just give that a couple of minutes to wait and see. But certainly you're invited to stay and you're invited to leave. Jim, anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
At this moment, we don't have any public comment in the forum, but we'll give it a couple of minutes.
What was that, Lynn?
How much time?
Well, it's a good thing I can hear you through the door. So I don't know. Let's give them another 5 or 6 minutes if there's if there's no comments online. If there's anybody in the room that has a public comment, if you could just raise your hand and we can kind of use the raise your hand button. We can start with those if we need to. haven't seen anybody inside the group that's on the call raise their hand, so I'm assuming there's none from the group. Okay. Have we had any online yet, Lynn?
We have not.
Okay. I'm going by the clock in here. So this one says 9:15. There's a couple more minutes.
What time does that clock say now?
9:13. That's why I said I was going by this clock in here.
Does anybody know a good joke?
I just have dad jokes. They're not very good.
Dad jokes would probably be the most appropriate jokes we could have.
You could tell the story you told in our group.
Oh, you want me to tell that one again?
Vince and I were both commenting how we went to the same middle school, and Dr. Zabilka was our assistant principal, and that got us on old memory lane, lockdown memory lane.
So, in my job is on the fire department. I was out on a rescue call a couple of weeks ago, right around Christmas time, and as my crew was taking care of an elderly gentleman who was quite sick. I'm going to leave the teacher's name out of it only because I don't want to give anything away. I was going over to ask the teacher information on her husband who was sick, and she looks at my uniform and she sees my name on my uniform and she goes, "Jimmy Whitman?" And I'm, "Yep, yeah." Now, I'll tell you one thing, just by her calling me Jimmy tells me how long she's known me. Okay. So I go, "Yes." And she goes, "I am Mrs. Blank, your second grade teacher at Woodford." And I was dumbfounded that she actually remembered me. I remember the name. I wouldn't have been able to pick her out to save my life. And she had a whole story about how I raised my hand to be the first one in the fireman boots when the firefighters were there to show and tell. So, gee, I wonder where that came from.
Jim, we have one comment.
Okay.
That I really have to. Okay. This is a comment, it's a question from Grace Lake Mom. And actually another one is come through. This question or this statement is the confirmed date for hybrid to start February 16th? Will this be planned for the remainder of the school year? And another one just came through from confused community member. And it says, "It is fun to hear about your elementary experiences, but I wish you would consider that community members are watching their kids suffer due to lack of experience. Do you know how painful it is to hear about 8th graders winning their sport when our kids cannot attend school or have the opportunity to play their sport? The lack of compassion towards your community is unbelievable. Their students are depressed. All time, effort, and money should go towards getting students in school full time, not worrying about 5 years from now." And that is all the comments.
Okay. Okay, so we can close the public comment, and then I would need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
And Lacroix,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Strack,
Aye.
Whitman,
Aye.
and Braden. Aye.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming and participating. We'll see you in a couple weeks, or next week probably.